Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. I don't even know what episode this is. I think this is 86 or 87? No, 86. 86. The Conjecture episode. Now, of course, as you can see on your screen, I pulled the last minute audible because I had to have this man on because, for obvious reasons, it's difficult to get him on this show. But first and foremost, before I get to that, I will say welcome to everybody in the chat. It's already filling up. I already see it happening. Thank you guys so much for being here. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce my co-host, the man out here, the philanthropist, if you will, handing out free shoes for all those who want it, need it, and sometimes don't even want to pay attention to it. Mr. EverbornSaga, how you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good.
Your mic is fluctuating again. See, listen to this,
what happens.
This is what happens, man.
What happens? Wait a minute. Okay. Well, all right. Wait a minute. Let's
you sound clean now, though. You sound clean now.
How about now?
It sounds good. It sounds like we might need to investigate a different cable for you, sir. But we'll talk about that one.
I'm meaning to get one. But what I was saying was I am in the middle of trying to finish my taxes before the 15th.
Yeah, you and me both, sir. You and me both, yes. Sir. Today's my last day. I'm gonna nail it today. Today I'm gonna nail it. But yes,
this is what happens when you procrastinate, folks.
Oh, well, this is what happens when you think you owe. That's what's happening.
Well, yes, you wait till the last minute. Yes,
you wait till the last minute. You know what's going on.
Strategic procrastination.
Indeed. But of course, I must welcome the last minute audible special guest. I have been in the background. I have been advocating for that living split screen cross GCP crossover for some time now, but for obvious reasons that's difficult to execute because they make it a two-tabbed weekend as it tends to be. But of course, for one reason or another, and shout out to the man Steel Rain. I hope you feel better, sir. If you happen to be watching, salute to you, good sir. They don't have a show today, so I am honored to welcome to have him with us for once. The uncanny man himself, Mr. Pong Soul. Welcome, sir. How you doing?
Thank you. Humbled by the invite, sir. When you hit me up, like I told you, I had to just double check with the wife to make sure I didn't have a magical honey-do list up here since I told her I didn't have a show this morning. You know how that goes. So,
yes, sir.
I had to make sure, but no. When you told me you guys were going to have a 3-hour show on the Atari VCS and where it stands, I had to be here. And bring my knowledge of that system. No, it's great to be here. My Saturday morning brothers over here, again, we are going to work that 8-hour show out at some point, but happy to be here and represent. And yet, shout out to Steel. It's bad when he hits me up and says we can't do living split screen because we both hate missing our Saturday morning. So definitely send some thoughts and energy Steel's way and some love because he's not feeling well at all. So, but glad to be here. Glad to join you and the one and only great EverbornSaga for the show. So let's get into it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And yes, please, if you have a moment, send some positive thoughts to Mr. Steel Rain. I'm sure he'll be back at it, looking at the world with his RTS view very soon. But until then, we are happy to have you on here, sir. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, right off the bat, we have the man Slow-Mo Backslap in the chat with the first super chat of the day with a $2 super chat saying Fortnite creative mode gunplay is better than Redfall gunplay. Sir, damn. Do you know something we don't? Tell me you've played it. I hope you're wrong, sir. I hope you're wrong. But we don't know. We're going to have to wait for that. But no, I appreciate all the people that are in here right now. I see Paulie Baba in here. I see the man, Mr. Double Barrel Gaming himself. Mr. Boomstick is in the house. Thank you so much for checking us out this morning. I saw Xbox Expansion Pass in here. A lot of great members of the community. So thank you so much. If you haven't done so, please consider hitting that like button. Please subscribe if you don't do all the YouTube stuff we're supposed to do. And let folks know we're here. Let folks know that, it's going to be a very interesting show with a lot of great minds on the panel. But let us get started, as we always do, ladies and gentlemen, with some games that we have been playing. Mr. Pong Soul, you being our guest, yes. I must ask you first, what games have been keeping you busy? As the grazer extraordinaire, sir, hit us with it. Let's go.
How big a list do you want right now?
Hey, man, we're here. Let's go.
Listen, it has been interesting lately. There's a lot of great new games out that I could be playing, but that's not how I always roll, right? That's not where I'm always at. So let's see. I have been still rocking out on Mass Effect Andromeda. The furthest I've ever been in this game, as I was telling you behind the scenes, because I hated it when it first came out. I was on that hate train the whole time. I've gotten to the point, and this has got to do with Starfield because I needed some sci-fi in my life, that I went back to it, and I'm treating it as a AA, high-end AA sci-fi generic adventure, and I'm ignoring all the Mass Effect references.
Wow.
And I am playing it that way.
Mass Effect game?
Yes, it's not
AA high.
Yes.
If you've played Andromeda, he's not wrong.
Yes.
No. I have played Andromeda, and I walked away from it for probably the same reason.
Right.
But man.
Yes. It's a sad to say it, but again, I'm now enjoying it, and I'm the furthest I've ever been. And the game can be gorgeous in a lot of ways, and it does scratch that sci-fi itch that I needed. So it is doing its job, right? I just can't listen to the dialogue, and I have to, like I said, ignore the Mass Effect references because I just can't stand it if I listen to it that way. So having a great time with that. Loop Hero, which dropped in the Game Pass this week. My new addiction. It is my new, indie addiction, just like Vampire Survivors before it. Loop Hero, now that I'm understanding the concept, I had a run last night before the start of Xbox Ultimate and then afterwards that lasted like 3 hours on one loop. And that was incredible. Just having a great time with it. It's an auto battler, so you're not doing anything.
So hit us a little bit with what it's like, because I've heard that it's kind of like Vampire Survivors, and as such, I have not touched it because I don't need my life taken away from me because I have other games coming up right now. So please.
Kind of. So with Loop Hero, basically what it does is it procedurally generates a loop. So it's a path in it's not like a perfect circle or anything like that, but it's a loop. And all you have is this, we're talking about old school little character. We're talking about early NES days at best character on there. And you determine when that character starts the adventure. And of course, you come across slimes, and you come across vampires, and you come across all sorts of monsters and it auto battles. Well, then you get loot, right? So you'll get your weapons, you'll get your shields, you get your armor, you get your rings, you get all sorts of stuff, and they go into your inventory, and you can pause, and then you can put your new weapons and armor and everything else on. You can equip, and then you start up the adventure again. Also, you are gathering tiles because around this loop, it's all blank, right? It's a blank slate. And there's all these tile spaces. And so you gather these tiles. You gather like mountains, rock, meadows, and you can place those anywhere you want to. And that gives you resources. Okay. And also, you can get a tile like a forest tile, which you can actually place on your path, which will increase the probability of monsters showing up that you have to fight. Again, you're not fighting, it's auto battling for you, but it does increase that chance as well, which also give you resources and loot. So the idea is that you want to go through this loop as many times as possible. Every time you get back to the start, where your camp is, you can decide if you want to retire or if you want to continue your adventure again on another loop. And obviously, as you go around the loop, the monsters get more and more powerful, that kind of stuff. But you're also powering up because your loot is getting more powerful as you go through this loop. Then when you decide to retire or you die, you go back to this main camp area where you're meeting people that you don't remember what happened to you and why you're here. Right. And so it's kind of one of those adventures, like, what is going on? Why are we doing this over and over again? Well, then you can build out your camp as well with farms, with armorers, etc. That will obviously give you advantages on your next loop run. So that's the general gist of the entire game, but it's got that addictive quality because you're not doing much, kind of like Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors, you're moving, so you don't do that even in this game. But it's got that kind of same addictive quality to it where you're just increasing your power and kind of going through that whole process and trying to figure out the story.
And
so
if I'm not mistaken, this was before. This came out
Yes.
before Vampire Survivors.
Vampire
did, right?
Survivors.
I thought
Correct.
so.
Yeah, this was a big hit on PC.
Yeah.
I think it's about 3 years old now, I want to say, on PC, somewhere in that neighborhood. But it's finally on Game Pass. So again, the beauty of Game Pass. No risk. Download
Absolutely.
it, try it out, see if it's something you enjoy. But like I said, as I've started figuring out the game more, that has become kind of my, over the past couple of days, a little bit more addictive quality. I've gone back to, I'm getting ready for, I'll end it here because I can get long, because again, I got a million games I'm playing right now. But I'm getting ready for Age of Wonders 4, which is a 4X strategy game that is coming. The mainline game has never been on console before. It is finally coming to console, Age of Wonders 4. This is from published by Paradox, which is one of my favorite publishers out there because they do the 4X strategy stuff.
Yeah,
they
better
do the
than nobody
builders.
else. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
4X. Yeah.
Exactly. So actually what I did, Age of Wonders Planetfall, which was a sci-fi spin-off of that game, has been out on console for a few years now, and I've had it. I've got a bunch of the DLC that they've had with it. I actually re-downloaded that and went back to that in preparation for Age of Wonders 4. For anybody who's kind of wondering, it's set up almost exactly like Civ is, right? So if you played Civ games, you understand. You've got the diplomacy, you've got the different hexagonal tiles that you kind of decide, you got to build your empire. However, in Age of Wonders games, you can actually take control of the battles. It's not auto battled. So you can actually go in and then it turns into a tactical turn-based battle system if you choose to. You can still auto battle. It'll tell you, what the probability of you winning that battle is, and you can just auto battle and have the computer decide. Or you can go in and take control of all your units and turn it into a turn-based system. So that's what I love about it. So I've gone back and played some Planetfall as well. I had a 147 turn victory last weekend on that. So that's what I've been doing. So nothing special, no Resident Evil 4 excitement or anything like that. It is what it is. So.
And those who watch our show know we'll talk about Resident Evil 4 in probably like 5 years or so when we rediscover it later. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. Now, Mr. Everborn, I know you're playing some interesting blasts from the past, as it were. So I will quickly say this footage that you're seeing on the screen right here is less than 12 hours after the release of The Last of Us Part 1 on PC. So the reason why everybody was, we like to keep it even keeled here on this show, smoke where it's deserved. You tell me if this looks broken. Let us continue, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy, he's hitting you with the old, it worked for me.
Yes, I am. I'm hitting you with the, hey, there ain't nothing wrong here. It worked for me. Even though if you saw the beginning of it, this makes a 3080 look like, a potato. Like you need to throw this thing in the bushes and get a better system right away.
Saying it ran fine in the development environment.
Because I developed it, right? EverbornSaga, what have you been playing this week, sir?
Okay, so in my never-ending saga of
trying to avoid
Hogwarts,
yes, sir. Continue.
I had transitioned to Quantum Break, which I completed, and I don't know how I missed this the first time, but it's a very interesting, and I don't know how much of this we talked about last week, but I know I finished it this week. It's a very interesting idea that they tried, that Remedy was able to put together there. It does. I don't like it as much as I did when I first started it, so I feel like the novelty sort of wore off.
Okay.
I do think that the TV show, because of the way it was produced, didn't do anything for the game. And if that's what drove up the budget, then they probably should have skipped it or done those scenes in the game engine as opposed to having.
So you think that the combination of live action to show did not work well?
No. It works well, and I would love to see more people try it. However, the show was so cheaply produced and badly lit that it was more of an annoyance than anything. And it was worse than annoyance. It actually frustrated me to watch those shows because it's like you have this amazing cast and then you're gonna light them with a Home Depot work light, basically, with these hard white, like it. None of it made any sense.
Yeah, no,
I don't know
I hear
who
you.
produced that. But the moment to moment gunplay was very interesting. The last battle I thought was like almost unplayable. They did not do a very good job of explaining how some of the mechanics worked on that last battle, but I definitely feel like the bones were there for something great, and maybe they got there in Control.
Yep.
But I really thought that the story itself was compelling enough. It felt like I was watching a more PG version of the show Dark.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
There's this sort of nihilistic view that there's nothing you can change out of this, and I just think there's a bunch of places that they could have gone with this. This idea of being caught in a time loop and everything you think you're doing now is the thing that caused you to do the thing, the thing that set you on your path in the first place.
It's basically
So
butterfly effect the game.
Right, but do you actually have any control over anything, right?
Kind of, sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I just see places that the franchise and the IP itself could go, and it was so interesting.
So
and this is completely
so,
coincidental.
real quick, the man Sycamore is in here. Welcome, sir. He says, "Play Control,
Tell me to play
Everborn.
Control.
Play Control." We
Don't-
agree. Continue.
Sycamore, please don't add another thing to my list because I'm missing all the current games by going back and playing.
Hey man,
all these.
like you say, by the time you get to the new stuff, they'll be clean. So keep
Right.
that up.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I definitely got to wait to play Last of Us Part 1 on PC. But anyway, so I ultimately I like it, and I wish that Microsoft would revisit it. And if you don't like working with Remedy, I say give it to Ninja Theory. I think they could pull off a Quantum Break too.
That's
so,
a take.
I meant every word. Now,
See,
so when I
you see
completed
Pong
that-
Soul getting red with his disagreement with you, real quick.
I want Ninja Theory to do Ninja Theory stuff. I don't want them
I
working
hear
on
you.
other people's projects, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
but Quantum Break is a Microsoft IP, and Ninja Theory is a
it is.
Microsoft studio. And if Remedy's not doing, you can't work with Remedy, then you got to get somebody in house to do it.
Yeah,
And so this is what I mean.
Slow Mo
right?
Backslap
It
is telling you
seems
that
like
Control is
from-
better in every way than Quantum Break except the story. So continue.
But this
sir.
is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
if you had a sequel to Quantum Break, it would have been Control, but
But that story
with a good
continued.
story.
Yes.
right? And I think that's worth revisiting. So even if you want to evolve Control, instead of doing a Control 2, even though they are going to do a Control 2,
Yeah.
do what do you call it? I just don't think anything that Microsoft and Remedy have ever done has ever worked out. They all everything with them seems to go down in flames. Anyway, so I finished that, and then I started Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is amazing, right? I love it. I played like an hour and a half. I think that what they have done with, because again, I think we talked about this last week. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so too.
But if we look at Dead Space Remake, right? They sort of create tension by kind of things coming out of this corner, scary things one at a time. You fight them mostly one thing at a time, and it works. And it's this corridor. And again, Resident Evil is also corridor, but it the way they scare you is a lot of sort of ambiance, right? But the tension that RE4 builds is by overwhelming you with these zombies, and it's almost like they're everywhere and you don't know where to turn next. And I really felt myself kind of feeling nervous by going into every new area, because you don't know when everybody's going to pop out, but when things pop off, it gets crazy. So I started playing that, loved it, like actually zero complaints. Slow Mo Backslap says Alan Wake didn't work out. No, it didn't work out because now it's multi-platform. So I would say that
it did work out. It did. It's just they didn't continue that relationship. True. Well, actually, to be fair, Remedy has been advocating for more in that world for a long time, and eventually Microsoft relented and let them have it in multiplat. Because for a long time, Remedy wanted to continue that. Same thing with Quantum Break.
I don't know why Microsoft. I mean, maybe they didn't want to be bought, but like that feels like a studio that should have been that, because again, first of all, organic growth, that idea is stupid, and it's something that Jim Ryan said, and then a bunch of fanboys run with it. Yeah. Right? So that it's completely ridiculous. It's made up. It's not a thing. But if we're going by that made up, ridiculous rubric, which again, I want to
kind of like that high that kind of like that high performance
console market.
Console market. Yeah.
These
ridiculous.
things are stupid, and people run with them when they're convenient.
Yeah.
That being said, Remedy had done so many exclusive projects for Microsoft.
Yeah.
They'd worked together so many times in the past. It seems like they would, and they fill a gap in terms of narrative-driven, over-the-shoulder type of games that like Xbox doesn't have a lot of.
Honestly, to your point, I feel like they needed a Phil Spencer at the helm at that time. Microsoft didn't have the vision. If they did, they probably would still be in bed and still be doing business right now. But it seems like every time Remedy brought them a spark, they went, it's a spark, it's not fire, get out of here. Same thing with Alan Wake, same thing with Quantum Break, you know.
Alan Wake 1, Alan Wake 2, Quantum Break. Like you work together all those times. Again, they're filling a gap in the portfolio that you don't have. It just makes sense. But anyway, so forget about all that. Now I have, because I got caught by the hype bug of Jedi Survivor.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, I never finished Fallen Order. I was only 41% of the way through that.
One of the best games with the worst map. Continue, sir.
Yes, the map is disgusting. But I started playing that and I'm hooked again, right? Yeah. So hooked that I have not gone back to Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is a game that so far, again, I'm only an hour and a half in, I just look at RE4 as like a perfect game. Yeah. So that's how good Fallen Order is. So, you know, I want to finish it so that when I go back to Resident Evil 4, I can finish that and go straight into Jedi Survivor. But what I'm afraid may happen is it'll take me too long to finish Fallen Order, and then Survivor will be upon us, and then this amazing game Resident Evil will end up in the backlog for no good reason.
Hey, it's a very good reason. It's something for us to talk about when everyone seems to forget about it. That's what happens on this show. It's a beautiful thing. Sycamore in here with a $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says Remedy and Microsoft had some solid games, just the audience weren't ready for those type of games. Alan Wake, Everborn. And I completely agree with you, sir. I honestly think that the timing of those games and possibly the leadership at Microsoft at the time did not see those visions. Everborn and I have conversations constantly about this, and I say Remedy is akin to the Naughty Dogs of the world, where they had a spark and all you needed to do was actually give them the funding and the energy and space to keep going. Hence, the Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2, they were never given that Uncharted 2 treatment. Same IP, right. Go forth, get further, you know?
If you gave, if you brought Remedy in-house, left them alone, and just gave them that 343 budget.
Yeah, let them cook for a while. They would have given you something magical. Absolutely. And honestly, on that, I honestly think that is, it was a different time, obviously. It was a different time. And even the whole thing with that game that's absolutely terrible, the name escapes me right now, the one that they released that Remedy made the campaign of that was absolutely trash. That wasn't Remedy working directly with Microsoft. That was Remedy working with Smilegate. I forget the name of the game. Come on, somebody give me the Crossfire X. Crossfire X.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't really equate that to Microsoft working with Remedy there. It was Smilegate that hired Remedy to do the campaign. So, but by and large, the two of them, Remedy and Microsoft, seem to make a lot of sparks, but then they're never given a chance to give you the
I
culmination.
think Microsoft should put a ring on it. And
They might not want
let
the ring at this point. They've been burned one too many times. Who knows, right? Who knows? Because Control, seriously, to everyone's point on here, Control is the fire that Quantum Break started. It really is. It just they had to change the story because it wasn't the same IP. But
so
if
by
you look at the
basically
art,
adding no story, I think you just walk in there and you're in like a building.
and you're in the building, yes,
for maybe
yes.
like a half hour. And
if you look at the art, if you look at all, even the powers, everything, it is a continuation of what Quantum Break started, which is unfortunate that Microsoft doesn't get to benefit from that. But needless to say, real quick, before we move on to some of the stories that's going on here, I will once again reiterate, as you see on the screen, I am playing The Last of Us Part 1. This was about 12 hours after the game had come out, so I think 3 or 4 patches had been applied. I got it on a sale because, PCMR is code for cheap. That's neither here nor there. It was like $34 when I bought it. So I'm like, because I'd played it on PS3, I'd played it on PS4. I wasn't buying the PS5 remake, but on PC, hey, we'll try it, right? And so far, so good. It's just very heavy.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah,
Kay.
please, yes.
What game have you bought more times? Would it be Skyrim or Last of Us Part 1?
Actually, I wouldn't say one specific game, but the franchise, it would be Halo.
No, but I'm talking about these two specific games.
Within these
because I feel like
games?
Every time they sell you Last of Us, you're just out.
No. Actually, let's see. Probably Skyrim, because I rebought Skyrim to get the VR version on PC because I was playing it on PlayStation. I was playing it on Xbox. Rebought it on PC so I could get the VR edition of it. But yeah, the one game that I have bought more times than any is Halo, because even if it's in Game Pass, I want that box. I have every version, even the PC version that most people don't remember. I have all of the box versions. That is my only collector addiction. I must have the box of that game, even if all you're getting is a hex key to be able to download the game. So even Halo Infinite, I have bought, and I actually haven't even opened the box because I was playing it on Game Pass. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's basically what I've been playing. I will say, and I say all that to say about The Last of Us. I'm not saying go ahead and buy it, because as I've said, I thought I had a pretty good machine until I played this game, and it told me, yeah, get the hell out of here with this. So I had to drop it down significantly just to get it playable. And even then, it's kind of up and down a little bit. But so far, there's no blackface on Joel. there's no whitewashing, clean, slick mode on any of that. It looks clean. It plays clean. It's
Does
just
Ellie
damn
look
heavy.
like Slender Man?
Ellie does not look like Slender Man. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I have a sneaking suspicion, and I don't know if this is a topic for the show, but you, sir, have a new PC build.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about
I suspect that Last of Us was the evidence for that.
No, it's not The Last of Us.
Don't
it's
lie
another
to the
game.
people. Don't lie to the people.
See, and I think Pong Soul knows what game I'm talking about. It's another game. But we'll get there when we get there. We're going to talk about that soon. But thank you guys so much for being here. I see the chat is already lively. I see a bunch of folks in here. We have about 89 folks in here already. Bro, our numbers are climbing exponentially. I am so humbled
only 41
and thankful.
likes.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to know
Please,
what's going on.
Please hit the like button, people. Hit the like button if you can. I appreciate you. Please and thank you, as we say. Yes. So we will get into some of the news stories proper. It's always great to have good minds on this show, Pong Soul. We appreciate you being here. You are here unique at a time when we can talk about the story that I think is galvanizing the entire community, which is the story that it took them murdering Sonic to get people to buy 1 million copies in 5 days. Pong Soul,
first of all, they bought nothing. It was a free game.
Sure, that's neither here nor there.
I will reiterate that you do not murder Sonic, and it's still not it's not doing Frontiers number.
I didn't ask for the Defense Force, sir.
Okay,
I asked for Pong Soul.
Everborn,
Listen,
they are purchasing it because it's still their time.
It's their time, sir.
Time is a commodity, so therefore they are actually buying it.
I'm just saying.
So I don't know if I'd use those words, but I understand. The one thing I do want to say, I do want to be very clear, because this is like a running gag. serious face on. I love the fact that Sega gave this individual developer a chance to do this.
Absolutely.
And I know that they put a bunch of heart and soul into it.
I played about 45 minutes of it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm joking when I say I'm boycotting it.
And we're joking when we say we hate Sonic, but still, here we are. Here we are. Bro, I'm playing Sonic all the time. My kids play it all the time. We are Sonic people in this house. It just so happens that until you give up the ghost and admit that you were wrong about defeating Ragnarok, we will continue this, sir, and we will ask for your knees at all times, sir.
I recommend everyone go and play The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's all.
I do so too. The only thing that it will take away from is your time. That's all it'll take. And actually,
did you see Tim the Sorcerer in the chat?
What did Tim say? Let's see what Tim the Sorcerer said. Tim said the murder of Sonic was done by Sony years ago. Damn, sir.
That was good. That was
damn.
good.
That was brilliant, sir. I appreciate you. That is very good. So, Pong, I know this is not on PC. It's not on console, so you probably may not have tried this. Is this something that would be interesting?
Slow-mo's chats. I've seen the two of them.
Oh, stop it. We will acknowledge our brother Slow-mo and say he says it's indefinitely better than Sonic Frontiers. Wow. Well, the numbers speak. The numbers speak, sir.
And the numbers are not better than Sonic Frontiers, but please go ahead.
Hey. Did Sonic Frontiers sell 1 million copies in 5 days? Well, you know what I'll say? Did Sonic Frontiers have the download numbers in 5 days that this does?
Now you're adding download numbers to a game that people had to pay for.
I think not, sir. So, Pong.
In a month, they did almost 3 million. Right? Because it came out in November. And then by the end of the year, or before the end of the year, we heard it had done 2.9 million, and then a little while later we heard 3 million. So, and that's a paid game.
Oh yeah, that's a paid game, which you pay for twice.
Was it not supposed to beat God of War? Didn't I hear that?
I said that because it was multi-platform, I thought that it had a chance at beating God of War.
Okay.
In sales, but God of War was bundling stuff with the PS5.
Ooh, wait a minute. That sounds like a backpedal to me, sir. It had a chance.
Wait a minute. That was before I knew Sony was gonna cook the books by including God of War Ragnarok with the PlayStation at the time where they had increased the shipments of the PlayStation in time for the holidays.
So wait a minute. All the previous Sony bundles, you didn't think they were gonna do that with God of War?
I thought God of War was going to sell so well that they wouldn't need to, but apparently.
And you don't consider that cooking of the books, but you don't consider Sega releasing this game at $60 and then discounting it in like a week to $30. That wasn't cooking the books.
Doesn't matter. What does that have to do with anything? It went on sale. It's not like bundling it with the system where people have to buy the game with the system, and they had no choice because that's the only bundle. That's the only way you could find a PS5.
I love dangling out the carrot and just watching him dance.
And wait a minute. How about we talk about the fact that the PlayStation sales went up by like 300-400%?
Maybe it's because Ragnarok was included. Who knows?
And those that 300-400% had Ragnarok included. So we don't really know how much it sold.
Well, I mean, they did include my game that I put like 175 hours into, which was Forbidden West, and that didn't seem to include the numbers that bundle.
They stopped that bundle because no one was buying it.
Clearly, they needed to put Ragnarok in there. Okay. But all right, we'll move swiftly along. I'm just saying, for my console players, I hope that they port this game to console so more people can try it. It's basically an adventure game. You know, it's it's a mystery game. You have to figure out who done it, kind of a thing. It's short, it's sweet, it's cute, it's funny. You know, and it has it's meme worthy from beginning to end. So it's cool. I agree with you, Everborn. It's cool that Sega can take their like premier IP, their mascot, and have fun and do something like this. It was very cool of them to do so. And they made it free.
Has no problem whoring out Sonic.
Oh, stop that. Stop that. Yes.
No, but Sega's been good about that, right? They let Motu, I don't know, Dumatu. They let them do Streets of Rage, right?
Yeah.
They let
they let them do Streets
Sonic
of Rage
Mania.
because they knew Streets of Rage was banging. They knew Streets of Rage was something. It was lightning in a bottle.
No, I'm just saying they let the guy do Sonic Mania.
Sure. Well,
Right?
Sonic Mania, they stopped him, and then they hired him to do it properly because he was
And then
doing
they
his
didn't
own
pay him
version.
properly, but
And then they
that's
didn't
neither
pay
here
him
nor there.
properly. That's right.
So hopefully this young lady that did this gets paid. Now
Gets paid,
that
yes.
being said, maybe I should reach out to Sega and see if they want me to make a Sonic game. They're just letting single developers make
Tom,
games.
Dick, and Harry are all getting the shot. Why not? Absolutely.
I think I'm going to do that. As a
You
matter
should
of
do
fact.
that. Yes, and then you should
What
show
about
him.
a Sonic graphic novel, Everborn?
Listen, we've done a few sample pages where Sonic meets Ariel. I don't know if you
See?
saw that.
There you go.
Yeah, there we
Why
go.
not? Why not?
Get going.
But all right, let us move on to some proper stories here. Proper stories. And the story that wasn't even on the docket, but I had to include it because it just popped on the radar and everybody had some takes. It is the fact that Joe Staten is leaving Microsoft proper, right? He left 343 a few months ago. You know, it was gloom and doom. Oh no, what's happening here? And gloom and doom by me, for instance, because I am the campaign guy. You know, if you check the books, I have played more of the Halo campaign than actually the only one I've probably played more hours of is probably Destiny 1, Destiny 2, because I also played the heck out of that for a while. But I'm a big Halo campaign guy. I play the multiplayer. I enjoy the multiplayer. But to me, the whole deal is the campaign. Why? Because I've read the books. I love the lore. It gets intricate. It's great. I have like the Halo freaking encyclopedia with all the nitty gritty details on it. I love that franchise. So to me, him no longer working on that franchise spelled gloom and doom. And now he's left Microsoft proper. So that either tells me that there's a new class coming to take over the helm, or we're looking at Halo as Apex Legends from now on, which is only cutscenes and then multiplayer. I will go to you first, Mr. Pong Soul. What is your experience with Halo? Are you a multiplayer guy? Are you a campaign guy? Do you even care about it? And what was the news when you heard that Joseph Staten, and I always be very careful when I say his name because he doesn't
Jason
roundhouse kick.
Statham.
He doesn't roundhouse kick
Joseph
anybody.
Staten.
No, he doesn't.
Right? What were your thoughts when you
roundhouse
heard
kicked
this?
Microsoft, but
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, he
maybe
did.
they did
Um,
him. Who knows?
I am famously the casual Halo guy, right? The casual
Mm-hmm.
Halo fan. I don't have the attachment to Halo that a lot of Xbox fans do at all. ODST is my favorite one.
One of the
and
best
he had-
ones.
It,
And it was
it,
an
it
8-month
truly is.
turnaround. Oh my
Yes.
God, that game was
and
amazing.
that was in large part to this man right here, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, listen, there's two pieces to this. When you see somebody like Joseph leave, from a company standpoint, you never want to lose that type of talent, especially in an industry like this that is solely based on the talent that develops these games. So you never want to lose somebody like that, especially somebody with the history that he does, with the experience that he does, with the leadership qualities to go along with his other creative talents. You don't find that in everybody. So somebody like this leaving is a big hit overall. And, talked about it a lot as Xbox has grown now and they've got so many studios. You'd love to see more opportunities for people that want to go try something new to move around within that umbrella instead of actually going elsewhere. However, somebody like him, I believe he's like 51 years old now, been in this industry for a long time, obviously is one of the main hands that created one of the greatest franchises in video game history. He has every right to say, hey, I want to go try something new. I want to go do this. And he did mention on Twitter that he was off to a new adventure. That's his right. That's his choice. And I will never disparage the man for wanting to go and do something else. So wherever he winds up, I wish him nothing but the best. And I hope that he finds extreme success. We know that there's been a lot of new studios being created by veterans of this industry all over the place over the past few years. And obviously, when you've been around in this industry as he has for a very long time, that's a close-knit group. There is a lot of burnout. There's a lot of turnover in this industry. So anybody who's made it this long, everybody knows everybody. And so, if he found a home somewhere else because somebody picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Joe, I know you've been at Microsoft for quite a while now. I know you've worked on Halo for quite a while. What do you want to do? You want to come try something new?" Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that that's what happened, and I can't wait to hear where he's going from here out. Maybe he's going back to Bungie. Maybe he's got to go help Bungie create a new shooter for Sony.
Somebody called him and went, our controllers rumble differently, right?
right. We got those haptics.
Them haptics,
Yeah, so that's one side of it. From the business side of things, from Xbox standpoint, of course you don't want to lose somebody like this. I got nothing but the highest respect. And then, the other side is just the human quality, which I kind of touched on already. As a person, the best thing about him, and we've seen it already, nobody has a bad word to say about this man, right? It's somebody who's been in this industry for a very long time. Everybody has come out and said what a great dude this guy is. And so if you're going to leave your legacy somewhere, that's the way you want to go, right? You don't want to be forced out. You don't want to have some HR issues. You don't want any of that nonsense. You don't want people saying, nah, he was an a-hole. Get him out of here. He's leaving on the right terms. And so, again, I just can't have anything but the utmost respect for his place in history with video games and what he's done. And I'm excited for the future to see what he does next, wherever that may be, whether it's writing or whether he's back in video games and helping lead a team. It's a big deal for somebody like this to get their chance to go branch out and do something new. So good on him. He's only got so many years left. So go do what you want to do, Joe. So I'm happy for him from that standpoint.
No, I completely agree with you, sir. I completely agree. I hope that whatever he does is completely different than what we're expecting from him. I'm sure that for a person like him, where his big hit is now mothballed somewhat, is kind of a little bittersweet because his contributions have kind of been sidestepped in favor of the multiplayer aspect of it, which, if you're a heavy campaign person or a heavy story person, that must sting a little bit, right? It's their Mario, if you will, that has been mothballed for a while, and hey, it is what it is. Maybe, like you're saying, maybe he goes to Blizzard, to Bungie, and strikes a new tone, because let's be honest, the Destiny 2 latest expansion was not the business, as by all accounts. People are like, what happened to that story? So maybe they're calling him in to, emergency break glass. Come help us, Joe. You're our only hope, kind of a situation.
Maybe. Or maybe he's the latest Microsoft spy to go out into the world for the next acquisition, right? You saw what happened to Gabar and Ferguson. They sent them over to Activision Blizzard, and here we are, right? Who knows? Maybe he's the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. EverbornSaga, what are your thoughts on the turning of the page of the Halo verse and the campaign and all of that? I don't know if you're here. I saw you turn your camera off real quick. Are you here, sir? Oh, yes, he is.
I am here.
Yes. So, your thoughts, sir?
I mean, he was at Microsoft for 20 years, right? Like, he wants to move on. It's just the thing that I guess gets to me, at least. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing that gets to me is every time someone leaves Microsoft, we get these like think pieces about, oh my God, there's a talent retention problem. People leave companies every day, B. Like I don't really know how to like I don't know, man. And then I just feel like we on the Xbox community, we just keep falling for it. We keep letting these other people set these narratives around people's leaving. Look, Halo as a studio or 343 as a studio is being restructured. They moved out everyone, and Joseph Staten was not like he only came in to right the ship, right? He was coming from Xbox Game Studios, and he came in to do what he could for Infinite to come out. That job is done, and so now he went back to Game Studios. So if he wasn't on 343 and he was just in Xbox Game Studios, would anyone have said anything? Would anyone have had issues with this? I don't think so. So to me, it's just another resignation, and he's going on to do his own thing. He did his part on Infinite, and now Halo is going to go in a new direction.
Yep.
And Pierre Hines is going to take it into whatever direction it's going to go in. But to me, this is much to do about nothing, and I wish Joseph Staten, Joseph Staten,
you fell
all the
for it.
best.
We're not going to do that anymore since his name is not going to be out there. So go for it. Go ahead.
Yes. So the point is, I wish him all the best. Wait, hold on. What is Slow-Mo saying here?
Slow-Mo Backslap is saying Staten leaving isn't about talent retention or somebody just deciding to go do something new. This is about 343 and how Halo Infinite turned out. He didn't complete what he set out to do with Halo, in his opinion.
Yeah, but he had already left 343. Right? So like a month ago, when they did the restructuring of 343, he was already gone. So why didn't we mourn this or have a think piece back then?
You don't even need to continue going on because our lore master is in the chat keeping people honest. Shout out to Mr. Pixel Bit G. He's out there going, no, sir.
So this is the thing. I just feel like we talked about this a month ago, and he moved on after he did, and we'll see where Halo goes. And even if he was still at Xbox game publishing, right? Yeah. He probably wouldn't have been involved in whatever comes next for Halo anyway, because he's not at 343. So, if you were going to be concerned about this, the time to be concerned about this was back in January.
Absolutely.
So, well, for me, this is this is nothing. I do wish him the best. I do appreciate his contributions to Halo, and I think whatever he does next will be great. But in terms of what this means for 343 and Microsoft has a talent retention problem, again, if they had a talent retention problem, he wouldn't have been there for 20 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, it's not.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because the chat is.
I know. I see what's going on in the chat, and I'm trying to keep my train of thought. Well, watch the Slow-Mo and
Pixel Bit G source. I made Ish up.
but Slow-Mo source. He says, I know Ish.
I'm loving it. This is great.
That's great. We should get them both on the show right now. I would love to hear them argue.
No. We
send
will
them
have
a link.
We will have our own show on the postmortem of Halo at some point because I don't want to make it an 8-hour show. I do not want to make it an 8-hour show. All right. But no, I really want
to on the show at the same time argue.
Yes, I definitely want to do that. I want to do that. And we will. I've been thinking about having a Halo proper show one of these days because Halo just keeps coming back up in one form or another, and I suspect that we may or may not have more Halo to talk about after the E3 window comes and goes.
Okay,
so there's more Halo
just to wrap this point up, Joseph Staten left 343 months ago.
True.
He was in Xbox Games Publishing. So this idea that how is this going to affect Halo? It will already have affected Halo since the change. Halo's being restructured. That's it. We've already done our think pieces about that. This is just someone leaving a company who worked there for 20 years. And if you had a retention problem, people would
not be leaving there for 20 years. No, I hear you. That is a good point. That is a good point. This Halo talk will not end. It will not end, and I don't think that Halo as a topic will fall into the back of the zeitgeist. There will be more to come, I suspect.
But see, that's the thing about Halo, and that's what that speaks to how people call it an irrelevant franchise, but they can't keep it out their mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So to me, that just shows the interest in Halo that is there, and every time they do something or anytime somebody, goes on vacation at the studio, we got to have articles about it, right?
Indeed.
That's how much eyeballs are on Halo as a franchise. So I understand, but I just feel like again, this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, and I'm just repeating myself. We continue to let people who are not playing these Xbox games or just don't like Xbox
define the
we
terms.
continue to let them frame these conversations, and then we sort of start to react
take
to
it
that
seriously. Yep. I hear
right,
you.
and it's just like somebody left the company.
So I will let Blue Moon FC have the last word on this, and he says Joe and Shenzhen were spotted at the Luna headquarters. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the tinfoil hat theories on this show. That is a very good, very, very good one. I appreciate that. Okay. So before we will move on, and I want to get into some different conversations, but in the short term, I want to say thanks to the 140 folks that are in here. Please, if you haven't hit that like button, please continue to do so. Yo, Mr. Pong Soul got the cool little. We gotta talk about the Pong Soul lighting, man. You out here. That is very cool, sir. I appreciate that. We'll talk about that one in a minute. But I will say thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate all the likes and all the lively conversation we are having in here. I want to get into some high level light tech talk, but I will do that under the framing of Cyberpunk 2077, because we have the man Pong Soul, who I think is one of the men who loves this game as much as I do on here. You see me with my Cyberpunk shirt on this morning, and I want to talk about that because they are releasing a version that looks to be completely next level, completely amazing.
Just one thing in the chat.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I think somebody in the chat called Slobo a pony. That is.
Oh no.
That is false.
Oh, jeez.
I feel sorry for whoever called him that.
Slow-Mo has terrible takes, but he is far from a pony. And I think he is one of the few Halo stands out there, even though he's very critical.
Yeah.
But Slow-Mo's definitely a Halo stan. And I just don't agree with him on the Joseph Staten thing. But put some respect on Slow-Mo's name.
And by the way, I won't even defend Slow-Mo because I feel sorry for whoever called him that. Your knees will be his quite soon, I suspect, because that man can hold his own. But we'll move forward here. Real quick, let me get on some quick super chats here. I see the good brother post up from the community. He is here. We appreciate you for being here, sir. He's here with a $5 super chat saying, salute to the panel, just showing my support. Salute to you, good sir. This is great to see you here. Thank you so much. Now, Buck is also in here with a $2 super chat saying, Joe is going a certain affinity for the Halo campaign. Oh, brother, you are giving me hope. Don't do that. Do not do that. I was about to be Infinite Umber and start singing "Quit Playing Games with My Heart," but I'm not going to do that to y'all this morning. But thank you so much for the super chat. And man, I hope you are right. And of course, we have the man from the Dragon's Den himself, Mr. 108 Dragons TV in here saying, brother, what's good? Thank you so much for being here, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. It is a lively conversation this morning. Let us get to Cyberpunk 2077. You've already heard that they cut off the last gen support for the upcoming DLC, which
should have been done prior to launch, by the way.
No disagreement from me, sir. And it's starring one of my favorite actors out in the game, Mr. Idris Elba, so you know I'm excited. And now there's more news. I don't know if people remember, I forget the name of the game, and I'm sure our chat will keep us, will inform us as they do. There was a game that released not too long ago. It's been out for a while. It's the Metro series. And after the game had released, they then put the path traced version out. And for those who don't understand, usually what they do is they create the game and then they bolt on, if you will, and I'm being very light and very simplistic with it, they bolt on ray tracing elements, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, in addition to the rasterized version, in addition to the normal version you see. So you can go turn things on, dial them on and off, and that's how you're able to get your ray tracing features. But there is a method to build the game with ray tracing and path tracing in it from jump, meaning without those elements, the whole game is black, right? They depend solely on the sun, as you would in real life, to shade and light things and all of that. Oh, and really quickly, before I continue, we have the one himself, Steel Rain, in the chat saying, "Man, y'all see me in Halo. I feel better though. Beautiful people. Thank you so much, sir. We will have you on here too one of these days, sir. We need to work it out. I'm still on that train. We will do the crossover sooner rather than later. Thank you for being here, man." So, like, they are now releasing a fully path traced version of Cyberpunk 2077. You know, and the title here from Screen Rant says it all. I'm saying Halo Infinite. Cyberpunk 2077's new update is incredible, but you probably can't play it. Why is that? Because it'll bring almost any high-end monster PC to its knees, ladies and gentlemen, to its knees. Now, EverbornSaga was saying, "Oh, it's probably because of the Last of Us that you're building a new PC." First, the reason I'm building a new PC is because E3 kind of went, and I had that E3 money saved, and my PC, you know, we're taking the show a bit more seriously. We want to make sure it's dependable, and I want to do some more 4K rendering and this and that. So I was already on the cusp of building this new PC, and then I saw this news, sir, of the full path traced Cyberpunk 2077, and the man with the Cyberpunk 2077 shirt said, "Yeah, my 3080 machine's a potato. I gotta build a new machine." So that's what I am on right now.
This is that PC. You know, I wanna share something.
Go ahead.
Texted me,
Go ahead.
During the week. He said, "Oh man, look at this build. It costs." I won't say how much it costs. But he's like, "I'm not building another PC for like 5 years." And I was like, "You lying son of a gun,
bro!" The amount of money, the amount of time it'll save me that I'll have to save up to build another PC will take about 5 years. I'm just saying.
You will be back in 2 years again to buy whatever Nvidia is selling you, and you will build a new PC, and that will be the end of it. They'll
by
put
5
out
years
another
from
Cyberpunk
now,
update.
maybe AMD will be able to take on Nvidia proper, so I won't have to build another Nvidia machine. But you know, right now they're the only way to go.
Folks, I want you to mark this date down. It is April 8th, 2023. By April 2025, K will be building a new PC.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. No.
He and I in 2020 or early 2021 we saw the 3080s. We both got them for Cyberpunk, believe it or not.
True. Wow.
I'm still on.
But you never actually played your 3080. You actually never actually used your 3080.
Cyberpunk was the only game I played on it. But I am not. I will not even consider upgrading to another PC until I see what the 50 series is doing in terms of Nvidia.
To be absolutely honest, to be absolutely straight, what really got me on that train of thought, honestly, was when I saw and I say this lightly because hopefully the man Infinite Number is not in the chat right now, because if he is, he'll never let me forget about it. When they showed the UE 5.2 demos, where it was because I've been playing with the UE5 editor for a while now, just playing with it, and every demo, as good as it was, had that fine print at the bottom being showed all on the 4090. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. That is the new benchmark.
They got you. That's
they got me. They got me. But I will say, in my defense, you know, I'm building for the future because my machine does a lot more than just gaming. If it was just straight gaming, I would have gone with an AMD variant and all of that.
Yeah, the 3080 is fine. You got caught in the 4090 hype.
Yes.
And that's what it was.
Yes, that's
so
fine.
For me, I do not use my PC for gaming, almost never.
Yep.
But I do a lot of work in Unity and things like that, and I want to get into Unreal.
Yep.
So that's why I have the video card. But I'm fine with whatever console does and whatever the Steam Deck does.
Sure.
They're not going to get me upgrading to a 4090.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Maybe I'll upgrade to a 4090 when the 50 series comes out, when it's affordable.
I'm not. And actually, to be fair, and you will see the build when it's complete. You'll see the build when it's complete. It wasn't ridiculous. It's ridiculous for me, but it wasn't ridiculous in general. But that's neither here nor there. Mr. Pong Soul, sir, how do you feel about all this news? Because I know you've been following this Cyberpunk news as closely as I have been. There are those out there who are using the community because there are a lot of mods on PC and all that. So there's just so much data out there already. What do you think of Cyberpunk coming with a full path trace version? Which, let's be clear, if I'm not mistaken, that path trace version of the Metro series also made its way to console. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah,
you're mainly a console player.
I am a console guy. I don't have a PC. I need a PC because I want to do more content creation. So I am trying to figure out how I'm going to pull this off. And between Cyberpunk and what I know they're going to do with Starfield, I am slowly coming around to the fact that I may be gaming on PC at some point as we move further along. Because looking at, I know. I know a man with a good 3080 that could give you a good deal. I'm just saying. I agree.
I'm about to turn into the Xbox version of Game Over, Greggy.
Oh, don't do it! Don't do it! Don't. Please.
No, it's just a fact when I see the videos of Cyberpunk, because again, Cyberpunk, like you said, Kay Asante, is a GOAT for me, right? I played it from day one without any patches on the Series X, and I'm very forgiving of bugs. I go all the way back. I've been playing video games for 40 plus years now. So I go back to when bugs were normal. I played AA, single A RPGs that were some of the buggiest games of all time on the 360, right? I don't have a problem with bugs. I know some people are very sensitive to them, and I understand. But for me, Cyberpunk was and is right now one of my GOATs. It's top 10 for me all time. I loved that game. And watching it evolve on PC and them adding in all of this tech and all of these mods, that game is freaking phenomenal, Kay Asante, on PC. Like the things that people have brought to it, let alone CD Projekt Red and what they're doing, but just the modding community, what they've done to that game, I want to experience. I want to go jump back into Cyberpunk, which I'm going to do when the DLC drops, obviously, on console. But I want to jump back into it and try it on PC. I want a high-end PC that can do this stuff. And this new path ray tracing just looks absolutely stunning. Like in every... Like, it's gotten to the point where, like, I'm watching people drive around, and again, it's still compressed because I'm watching it through YouTube, but I'm watching them drive through the city, and there are points where you do the squint test, and it's like, I could... it looks close to reality sometimes, especially with the rain and the reflections off the puddles and that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
So I'm moving towards that inevitability that because I do want a PC for content creation. I don't want one that I'm gonna have to upgrade, 2 years from now. I don't. I'm not gonna. I won't be that guy because I'm not gonna be ever that heavy in the PC. But I do want something that's gonna be able to pull this off. And if I wind up getting one, then yes, I'm going to play Cyberpunk. And then, obviously, like I said, Starfield is the big one because I know the modding community for Bethesda. I've watched those for decades now do incredible things in the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series. So I can only imagine 1,000
and that is a very good analogy you strike because it seems like with Cyberpunk specifically, the community that have stood up around it is basically the same community, the same kind of community that's been backing up games like Skyrim for years now. They're not fixing things on the edges. They are literally going deep and they're fixing like mechanics, they're adding weapons, they're building the game out way beyond what CDPR was thinking
They added
about.
the train back in. They added the subway train system back into Cyberpunk, which was originally supposed to be there and got cut, and they added that back in. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, no, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And I actually have not gone back to this game since. Like I beat it in December of 2020. I haven't gone back to it since then.
You definitely need to go back to it because this is Skyrim levels of support that the community is giving to it. Like full hardcore actual developers are spending their hard-earned time for free building this game out to levels that CDPR had never thought of before. It is very, very cool what's happening here. And I will also say in my humble defense, another main reason why I wanted to build this like bleeding edge PC is because
did you see the Freudian slip?
Calm down. Stuff like this happens on the edge with PC and in VR all the time. So you can play a VR version of CDPR, like you can like brute force it. But anytime you do any of this kind of stuff, you need so much resource overhead. Otherwise, you're playing at like ridiculous frame rates, right? So that helps. I was actually testing a German developer who did this. Basically put full path tracing inside Halo Infinite and the Halo trilogy. So like also a game that you need like really much resources to get that to add that in and still have it run smooth. You need ridiculous amounts of overhead. So I'm actually planning on recording that and showing it to the community, things like that. Very, very experimental stuff that can be done when you have ridiculous amounts of overhead that you don't expect that a PC will ever be able to do, that a console will ever be able to do. So I kind of want to get into all that stuff. So hopefully you'll see more of that on this channel. But I am so excited for what they are doing right now. And as usual, which we have come to expect, the man whose name will forever be synonymous with one of the greatest games ever made, the Black Harry Potter, joins us with a $5 super chat saying, "I purchased
one
a
of
PC.
The greatest games ever made."
Yeah, that's right. I'm
really?
saying it. You have nothing to speak on it. How many hours are you in? How many hours?
The great 4.5 hours. The entire pantheon of gaming. You're calling this one of the greatest games ever made.
Let me respect this man by reading his super chat.
My God. What does the world come to?
The Black Harry Potter with a $5 super chat saying he purchased a PC just for Cyberpunk because he knows he was not going to miss out on the mods, and the game is so damn good. I agree with you, sir. Now, on the point of Hogwarts,
have to come back on camera for a second.
On the point of Hogwarts, I have to say,
you just said.
On the point of Hogwarts, I have to say, like from a technical perspective, it is one of the most complete packages I have ever seen in a game. There are bugs, there are, little issues here and there, but it is a triumph of epic proportions. Even after all the ridiculous drama that happened and all of the false outrage, well, some false, some real, but some well-warranted outrage, that game still stands as one of the pinnacle of gaming achievements in the last, 5-10 years. So yes, it deserved the accolades it gets, in my humble opinion. I never play games more than once, and I'm still thinking about
going on here, people.
Possibly. I will give you that. Possibly. I'm still thinking about going back and replaying it. It's ripping me apart that I'm not playing it soon because we're drowning in games so far. But that game deserves to be played by anybody and everybody, especially those who hate the franchise.
Played, but you can't bring yourself going to complete it.
Because
whatever.
You know what? Because we are people who make a show, and I don't want to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy every single week because I could be.
I had no problem doing it when Elden Ring came out. We talked about it for like 4 months.
Because we are the dynamic duo. I play the new stuff, you play the old stuff. That's what happens.
All right. Well, maybe one day I'll play this when it's old. I just want to shout out Jarrett Bishop in the chat. He says Hog Leg is certainly one of the games ever made. 100%
Now, the question, sir, is have you played it? I would love to see. I would love to see if you've ever played it. So there you go. And yes, the Black Harry Potter agrees with me. You heard him. One of the greatest games ever made, in all capitals.
I don't know if we can take anything seriously from the Black Harry Potter.
Hey man.
Sorry.
I understood
the Hogwarts.
I understood my audience. That's why I stroked the way I did.
That studio needs all the accolades, though.
Yes, sir.
Coming from Hannah Montana's world tour to make Hogwarts Legacy is a leap of unbelievable
epic proportions.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Incredible game.
Not since Joe Dirt. Not since Joe Dirt to the No Man's Sky has I've seen a meteoric rise of this proportions. I'm just saying. When Fable is great, we'll say, well, they knew how to make a good racing game. Like, this is an epic rise. I'm sorry. So, needless to say. But okay, on the continued point of talking a little bit of tech talk here, just a little bit. We did hear the conversation of the exclusive, and shout out to Tom Henderson for this exclusive, of Sony potentially releasing, working on their next iteration of the handheld, right? Which when this was initially mentioned, I was super excited because Vita stand right here. Like I will tell you,
And then you found out the details.
Stop it! Let, I gotta put in the soundboards, man. I gotta do that. 'Cause sometimes that's warranted. No, I'm a huge Vita stan. I even have the PS the PS.
You almost
TV.
said Sega. Freudian slip. I just want to point that out.
I'm a huge Dreamcast fan, so that's not wrong. You know, I even have the PlayStation PlayStation TV, which is basically a Vita for your set-top box for your television. I still have it.
So do I, sir.
It is a beautiful device that really got no. Yep. It was the puck.
Love.
The PlayStation puck before Xbox even thought about it. That's what that is.
Got no love.
It got no love.
Just they continued KSI,
yes.
where they would be if they had to continue to develop the PlayStation TV. Right?
Absolutely.
The PS TV.
Yep.
They could be in a totally different spot right now with cloud gaming.
Indeed. Absolutely. So we hear this news, and then more drip news starts coming out, and it's cool looking tech. They don't have, and I think that what was first shown off with this news was a concept rendering from somebody, but we don't know what the actual hardware will look like when it comes out. But by and large, like from everything we're hearing now, it sounds like a very cool looking Wii U controller. Now, for those who know what I'm talking about, I don't mean to be pejorative with it, but the Wii U, which I still own, and it's in my office, in my living room over there, had a screen controller, right? In addition to the nunchucks, a screen controller which you could play everything remote play style, but it couldn't leave your house. It couldn't leave your living room. When you go into the kitchen, it dies. I'm hoping that their technology for the PlayStation is far better. So, you know, you go into other rooms. As long as you're in your house, you can remote play all things. It sounds like it's very, very light on the technology. It won't allow you to, like, you know, be at a coffee shop or something and connect to Wi-Fi and play this thing. It sounds like it's solely meant for home use, right? Which, I'll be honest with you, is disappointing to me. But of course, we all know that these are all, like, you know, rumor and speculation. I'm hoping this thing releases, at least make it like a G Cloud variant, you know, where it's backed by a base OS, hopefully some kind of mobile OS. So if you're not home, you can play some lightweight offline things. You know, I'm hoping that that's where we are with it. You know, if it truly ends up being a Wii U controller like device, that to me will be quite disappointing, unless it's like $99, which, you know, we are talking about Sony here, so who knows about that. Mr. Pong Soul, you are our guest, sir. I will let you first bite at the apple. What did you think when this news came out? Are you excited for it? Will you potentially be a purchaser of this device?
No. Listen, like you said, Kayasante, I was hoping when I first heard the smoke that there was a new PlayStation handheld in the works. I was hoping for a Vita too, right? I was hoping that they were going to actually jump back into that market again and compete, you know, with the Switch. And I thought, you know, because I'm not a handheld guy overall, but PSP and Vita, I both absolutely loved, right? There was a great library of games on both that I really enjoyed on the go. And that was rare for me. So I was hoping that they were going to do this, but then we got the details, and the devil's always in the details.
Always, sir. Always. Yeah.
You know, and again, like you said, no official confirmation here, none of that. This is Tom Henderson, who does great work. I appreciate what Tom does. I love Insider Gaming and all that good stuff because I live in speculation.
I mean,
town, so
I was about to say, we have the mayor of Speculation Town.
Yeah,
so
one
why
of
not?
the mayors,
Let's go.
yes. One of the mayors.
The co-mayors
of Speculation
here.
Town.
Yes.
I have no idea who this is for. I outside of the absolute hardcore fan base, I have no idea because, like you said, sir, when I started reading the details, the first thing that popped in my head was, oh, so this is a Wii U remote. That's what you're making here, and what is this going to do? You know, for the people who have one TV, whose partner is watching a movie, and you can't play your PS5, great. Okay, that you're going to have an option, but with the expansion of all the other devices that we now have, including our own cell phones, including, you know, all the cloud gaming devices coming out, all these things that are happening, I don't understand what Sony's doing here. I truly don't, because like you said, this is not going to be okay, well, we don't know for sure because we don't know everything yet, and it's not official. But I'm going to go out on a very strong limb here and say that this is not going to be a $99 accessory, that this is going to be a $150, $200 accessory from PlayStation.
Even that would be a deal. Even that would be amazing. Like, I would be happy if it was $199, $200. Like,
$149 is the most this thing can be.
Yeah.
Are you saying it's going to be Everborn? Because
no, I won't do that again.
You've learned your lesson with the PSVR 2, right?
I will not give them the benefit of the doubt after the PSVR 2. But anything more than $149, and this is a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea up front because again, you're all you're telling people is like buy a controller with a screen. I mean that's all you're trying to do and trying to sell it as, and it doesn't. I don't see that nowadays as being anything that, like I said, the hardcore, the true PlayStation fans that need everything PlayStation, that are going to run out, and buy the discless, new PS5 slimmed down version when that comes out this year. Like those people that have to be day one on everything PlayStation, sure, you're going to sell that. But outside of that, when people learn what this thing is, how many people are actually going to invest extra money into getting this? It doesn't do anything additional besides give you home remote play. I mean, I'm at a loss. I truly am. Like there are things, pushing into the VR space, even though for me, VR, I'm not interested in it now. I appreciate the fact that Sony is one of the companies that push into that space because I'm not one of those people that says, oh, it's never going to be the future. But this controller, it's an accessory and it does nothing additional. I just don't see where it lands for anyone.
So hold on, Everborn. I will first and foremost say I put it in the chat real quick. I have a poll in the chat. The PS handheld Project Q or Q-lite or whatever. Q-lite. What do you think? Hell no. Yup. Day one or how much? Right. And to you, Mr. EverbornSaga, I say, and I'll let you give me your take, but I'll twist it on you a little bit. With the advent of the Steam Deck and all these other various handhelds that are out there, and the third-party methods that people are getting a remote play to work, there could be a thought that they are seeing a lot more numbers of remote play happening and going, hey, there are a lot of people out here that are makeshifting it into various devices. Maybe we give them a first-party offering, depending on how much it costs. What do you think?
So, well, there's a few things. The first thing that I want to kind of get out of the way is that I do not want to hear anyone who was hooting and hollering and cheering and doing whatever else for that streaming only thing, Xbox partnership that came out the G Cloud, Logitech G Cloud or whatever it was. If you were championing that, I need you to sit on the sidelines right now. Because I'm seeing there's a Venn diagram there, and there is a quite a bit of a middle section of people who were saying
While I agree with you, sir, I will caveat this with a small little difference, just a small little difference. While I agree with you, and I do, the G Cloud is backed by Android, so there are people who will buy that device and use it solely for retro gaming. We know now, of course, we're still in speculation town with the co-mayor in here. We know that historically, Sony will not do that. So this thing will be a closed ecosystem that will turn into a paperweight without online connection. So there's a actual difference there. But I agree with you by and large.
But yeah,
go ahead. Because I know people who bought the G Cloud who will never use it for remote play, and it'll still get its great uses because you can play everything up to I think
those
PS2
people should
with
not have paid $299 for it. But anyway, so that being said,
go ahead.
We see that Sony has already done the partnership with what's the handheld controller thing? I have one of them.
Yeah. You actually see it on this screen right here, like this right here, this controller right. Like,
I got
in the corner. Yep. I have the black one as well. Yeah.
The backbone. That's
the
what it's
backbone.
called.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we saw that they did the partnership for the backbone, and to me, this is just an extension of that. They're saying, okay, we partnered with Backbone. Now we're just going to do one and put a screen on it. And if that's the case, again, I do not think it can be more than $149. I just like if they do, then I'll print some more, charge them more T-shirts because people are gonna pretend. But it makes zero sense more than that. But I'm fine with it. Again, considering it as an extension
one of those. Yeah, I feel you. Okay.
So that's that. But but again, I ultimately don't care about this thing. I will make fun of them if they cost more than $149.
Oh.
What I want to talk about,
yes, sir,
is a handheld future.
Well, we're gonna get there because there's more handhelds to come.
Okay, because that's really what I want to talk about.
Yes,
I don't care about this. I want to talk about.
We're talking about the handheld future. That's coming.
Proper handheld.
Oh, excuse us. Uh-oh.
That was me. Let me see what was going on.
Was that you?
I don't know.
Hey. We are in an African American kitchen, folks. It's either you or it's me, and it happens all the time. It's fine.
I can't tell.
Yeah.
Is Pong sold still there?
No, Pong had to step away for just a moment. It's fine. Unless it comes back, I have no idea. I heard it everywhere, so it could have been me.
Yeah, because it was in the headphones. Okay.
Yeah, needless to say,
you talk. I'm gonna go make sure the house is not burning down.
Okay, you do that. You do that.
But I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
Okay, so while you're away, I will then talk and thank Mr. Victor Alistine for being here as usual, and with his $2 super chat, and he says he's thinking of this as a native mobile and Switch device. Bro, if you are right, I will be happy to be wrong about this because I think it's absolutely awesome if they do follow suit in that direction. The thing that worries me is when you follow in that direction, much like the Vita, you have to have a mobile operating system. And I don't see a mobile operating system being put on here because mobile operating system means new development environment, means new expectations from developers to support that mobile environment, right? If you do remote play, it ends up just being a remote of what you have, and that's easier an easier uplift, right? The G Cloud, as Everborn was talking about, was just backed by Android, and besides that, it's just tapping into an existing platform, so that's an easy lift for the first parties to do. If it's an actual mobile platform that you can then use as have native games on it, that's a whole new development environment, and they kind of mothballed that with the Vita. What do you think of it, Bob?
Well, so the thing is, I think Sony could get away with it. They're the #1 platform. People will support. Developers will support it the same way they support VR stuff. They can get away with that. However, I do not think we should discount the fact that Sony has a lot of experience making Android devices, so it very well could be an Android device.
If it was, I would be so happy.
With a custom skin,
that would be so great.
Mobile Android games, and then have front and center the PlayStation streaming thing. That's totally something Sony could do, and
I hope they do.
Then I think if it's an Android device. And Sony doesn't do low end or mid range mobile.
So what's
devices.
the price you see if let's say it's a G Cloud variant in all forms, including back end Android? They have their own skin on it, and their skin.
But what are the specs?
As the G Cloud is
because the G Cloud didn't have very good specs.
Well,
right,
but you don't need good specs. What you need is big battery for a main, because the G Cloud as it stands, you're playing for at least 4 or 5 hours with it, whether it be retro gaming or cloud gaming, because it had a big battery and it had just enough to keep the UI smooth, right? For those who know, from a retro perspective, you're playing up to select PS2 games. Right, you're not going any further than that. So how much? And the G Cloud was not subsidized. It wasn't first party. They had a few marketing agreements here and there. It was $350 at launch. I hear right now if you're going for a deal, you're getting it for $250. How much do you think?
Still too much.
Still too much, in my humble opinion. True. Yes. How much do you think would be justifiable for this Q device here?
Okay, so. If it is what was suggested, where this is the return of the Vita, right? And they have a mobile thing and all that.
I keep trying to sing, "Quit playing games with my heart." No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If it was that, personally, I'd pay $400 or $500 for that.
Ooh,
if it was that.
You are smoking something bubonic, sir.
No, wait a minute. Let me say what I'm saying.
Of a console, like a high-end console.
Yes. You just bought a Steam Deck for how much money? cut it out. So
yeah, but that's
the
not
thing
an
is this.
extension of an exactly existing platform. It's not an accessory to an existing platform, sir.
No, but this is what I'm saying. You're not hearing me. I'm saying if it was a new Vita, meaning it had its
like a
own
proper
mobile
Vita.
ecosystem, right? It had its own store. There are games for this thing, and it did streaming as well. I would pay $400 or $500 for that, for a proper handheld with its own ecosystem. But that's not what this is, right? So if we're talking about something that is all it can do is stream PlayStation games, can't be more than $150. If we're talking about something that is Android based and you can play Android games, you can get away with going a little higher.
300,
199, 249.
So in
right?
other words,
So there's different levels. It's going to
talk.
depend on what it is.
Okay, understood. Before we continue, Buck, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He said Sony didn't allow PS5 server blades, so they can't do PS5 cloud. They are late to the PC. So,
but we don't know if they're doing that now. They could be doing that now.
Yeah, they can't do a PS5 Steam
that.
Deck device. Sony is stuck with remote play. They may be starting a little late, but who knows? They tend to be the market leader, right? They are the market mover. So when they do it, all of a sudden it now becomes the new benchmark. No matter what we give them as far as smoke, you cannot deny their hardware acumen. They know how to make good hardware. They always have. Pong Soul, you had thoughts.
One last thing, Pong, before you start.
Yeah.
What if they pitch it as a controller? I mean, this is a controller you can buy.
Wii U controller, like we said.
Yeah.
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 I think that's kind of what they are already.
But then you can't say it's $400 though, or $300.
Right.
Wait a minute. How much are they charging for the DualSense Edge?
Right. That's what I said too. How much is the Edge? Is it $250?
I think it's like $2. Yeah.
Let's look it up really quick, Kay.
Yeah, I will look it up real quick.
Let's get the facts for the people.
Yeah. Because that's what I was thinking too, Everborn. You're spot on. Like, what are they charging for that? Because they're going to include haptics in this thing as well, according to the
as they can. Oh, actually, the DualSense Edge is $199. Holy balls! So that means this is definitely at least $300 because now they're adding a screen to the DualSense Edge.
Yeah.
Yo, amazing.
The one point I was going to make, I don't know if everyone made it because I had to step away, but I know this is just a project name, but the fact that it's codenamed Q-lite, that light has me thinking
light
that
on hardware
might
specs.
have yes, and they might have an actual full-blown expanded version of this in the works somewhere.
So we'll release the light first, and then the
Right.
Q later, the actual proper.
Correct. And that Q might be the OS-backed version,
Awesome.
right?
Awesome.
That's a little bit more fully fleshed out version. So
I like
that
where
was
you're
my only
going.
additional thought on it.
That's an interesting thought. No, I like where you're going.
What would be great, and I know we're going to talk about this because again, this is what I would pay for.
We're going there next. Yeah.
This is where you get my money. If we're saying Q-lite and that light is like, we'll play your PS4 library.
Oh, so well, remember they do right now. If you're a premium subscriber, you can play streamed versions of PS3.
I'm not talking
and
about
PS4.
I'm not
Oh, you
talking
mean
about
like native PS3, PS4 library?
Yeah, why not? How old is that hardware?
I mean,
They can't miniaturize that?
When you say PS4, you're talking PS4 and PS4 Pro, which
No, I'm just talking PS4.
Well,
the PS4 version of games.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, there is something to do there. It's just whenever we talk mobile devices, batteries, man. Batteries always becomes a factor in that equation. How heavy do you want it to be? Ergonomics becomes a factor in the equation. But okay, let's kill this poll and then we'll move on to another handheld talk. Right now, our poll, I just ended the poll, and with 63 votes on here, we have 79% saying hell no, 13% saying how much, and 3% saying yep, day one. So there you go. They have a somewhat of a hill to climb, and I'm catnip for this kind of stuff, as y'all know. And even I'm like, it depends on that price. If you make it right smack in the middle of impulse buy pricing, maybe you have me when there's a sale going on or something. But in the short term, probably not. Probably not. But okay, let us move on to the other handheld conversation that I've wanted to have here, which is the ROG Ally, which has been has also caught some steam online here. See what I did there? Steam. and people are like, oh, this is the final nail in the coffin. This is the Steam Deck killer, because there always has to be a killer when something comes into the market. And let's be clear here, that Steam Deck Pi, as great as Steam Deck has been, and you know me, I'm big on the Steam Deck here. You know, that's about 1 million handhelds sold, right? It's not the whole pie, because you have the XO player that's out there. You have the Aya Neos that have been biting pieces off the market for years now. It's just Valve coming in with their subsidized price has really blown this market wide open. So now we see the ROG Ally from Asus. Now, before I get the thoughts of the panel members here, I will point out that this falls right in line with the G Cloud, in that the Asus folks are not getting any more money from you than your original purchase of this device, right? The reason why Valve can cut it in at $400 is because they know that then you are theirs as far as Steam games are concerned. So they will have their return 30% every time a game is purchased on the Steam store. Hence their riches, right? These guys don't have that. So just like the Logitech G Cloud, where Logitech sold it to you and that's it, these guys are selling you this and then it'll be it, right? Secondly, the reason why people need to maybe not listen to as much of the marketing saying it's twice as better than the Steam Deck is hardware does not revise so quickly, right? They haven't really told you the price of this thing. And the reason why Valve has come out and said that the Steam Deck, the next proper iteration, the Steam Deck 2, is not going to be for a few years, is they want to keep it at that low $400 entry point. And in order to give you actual upgrade, next gen, if you will, for the same relative price, you must wait for that hardware to catch up to demand. You must wait for it to mature a bit before you can then revise it. So if you're going in early, being Asus, that means you're starting at a floor of maybe what, $600? Yes, they're doubling certain performance metrics, meaning they're giving you more wattage, but there's a return. There's basically a diminishing returns, because remember, this thing has the same battery as the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck will last you on a good day an hour and a half when you're playing light games, right? So if you're giving me way more wattage, it means you're giving me 20 minutes of battery if I'm playing Cyberpunk, you know, versus the 60 to an hour I get on Steam Deck. So like there are pluses and minuses here, 100%. You know, the screen looks by all accounts to be better, a high level of refresh rate. You know, it's got Windows on it, which also adds cost. You know, I'm hoping that Microsoft does some kind of deal with them, because otherwise every Windows license on here will add just a bit more cost, right? So, you know, I want folks that come and, you know, I've been talking to a lot of folks in the DMs, helping them with various purchases and various upgrades and configuration and all this. I don't want to sell you a fake bill of goods and go, oh, this thing is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It will be better than Steam Deck. Many devices are already, right? Aya Neo offers a lot of better hardware than the Steam Deck offers today. But understand that you might be paying extra for that. So, Mr. Pong Soul, with all this handheld talk and all this awesome conversation happening around this handheld stuff, and I know you don't tend to be a handheld guy, right? We've already established that. Has any of this enticed you to possibly dip a toe into the handheld PC market? Because that's what these are, basically, handheld PCs. What do you think, sir?
Absolutely. Okay. When the Steam Deck was first announced, it sure did. Because I'm interested in for the emulation part, right? Mm-hmm. So when I saw you get, you know, Dreamcast running on there, like that's when I was like, okay, all right, I might need one of these things eventually.
Oh, we're so excited for Tears of the Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Continue.
So no, it definitely interests me. And again, I just like I said about virtual reality, even if something isn't necessarily for me tech-wise, I'm still happy to see companies push into spaces that I think, you know, have the potential down the road. Mm-hmm. And for me, as somebody who has zero interest in like the Switch at all, zero, these
You mean
types
the
of
abacus?
devices,
I'm sorry. Every time
yes,
anybody
the
says
abacus,
that,
right?
The abacus, yes, indeed. Continue. Yes.
the 8-year-old cell phone.
Yes.
We definitely, I definitely see the potential in these, and the more people that get involved with it, the better quality product we get, the lower the prices we eventually get. All of that comes into play when I start thinking about these things. So absolutely, to see another Steam Deck competitor now jump into the fray, and I know there's been other ones out there that just haven't had that name behind them per se
And
to
that
catch
price.
kind of the mass audience,
That
and the
price.
price. Correct.
Yeah.
The price point. So I'd love to see this. Like you said, I would like to see, some of these prices come down a little bit more. But I do see the value in them for a lot of people. And obviously, if I was, budget wise in a position, I would have all these devices because I love new tech and I love trying new things out for sure. So I love to see this, that Asus is going to jump in here and go toe to toe with Steam Deck. Like you said, price point, it is more. I think the 512 is like $650, I think, and the 1 terabyte is going to be like $900. So I mean, we're still talking of a lot of money, but cell phones.
We're talking proper PC prices at this point.
You're right. We're talking proper PC prices, but cell phones are the same thing. It's just that we get to pay them monthly on a plan, right? Versus these that we have to put out the money for. So when I look at it comparatively, I'm like, okay, well, I understand why they're there. But no, I definitely have great interest in this, and I think Asus is offering a little something more than Steam Deck in some areas, like you said. Battery life.
Oh.
To your other point, Keisante, is always.
You're going to look at it. It's going to be beautiful for 2 minutes, and it's going to die on you.
Right.
I need a better battery from you there, ROG. What are we doing here?
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing that always kills me as well. Although, I'm not somebody who's riding a train for hours a day like many people are when they're playing, or buses or that kind of thing. So if I was to get one, I would always be around a power plug at some point. So for me, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I think for convenience and for accessibility for a lot of people, that is going to be the deciding factor, is that battery life and what they can get out of it for their needs. So love to see the competition, though, because eventually this is going to come down in price. When Steam Deck 2 does eventually show up, who knows? I mean, by that point, technology is going to be that more advanced and shrinking and all that good stuff down to a point where the performance might be something that we didn't think we were going to get out of a handheld. So I can't wait.
I completely agree with you, sir. Now, Mr. EverbornSaga, we talk about this pretty often, where this is going. Steam Deck, Valve, I should say, has opened the market up to so many more eyes, right? This market has been bubbling for quite some time, but they've been basically in like hardcore PC realm for a long time, starting prices at 800, 1,000, some stuff like that. And now with Valve, subsidizing, we're in the $400 range and onward, and it kind of really opened folks' eyes to this. I know you want to talk about the first-party platform holders properly striking a chord in this realm. Go for it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I need Sony and Microsoft to make their own version of what would be a Switch, right? I need everybody doing handhelds. Straight up.
So real quick,
Valve is doing it.
Real quick, I did hear, and shout out to the man with the million. We're hoping to have him on this show again sometime soon. I did hear on Xbox 2 yesterday. He goes, "I have somebody in my ear, in my DMs, talking about a hybrid device." I'm like, oh, he's spending too much time talking to EverbornSaga. Go ahead, sir.
So here's the thing. What this Ally device, the ROG, we'll just call it the Asus handheld.
Yeah.
And first of all, the name is stupid. They need better branding on this name. It's actually ridiculous.
What was something of gaming? Like I forget what the R is.
Republic of Gaming.
Republic of Gaming, which is just
ROG Ally, like ridiculous. That does not. Yeah. Nobody's gonna go in a store and ask for that.
I want the ROG Ally.
You see how Steam Deck just rolls off the tongue?
Well,
like it's
some
easy,
people
it's
complaining
simple.
about that. Some people are complaining about that. My Stream Deck is like, what's
sure,
going on
but
here?
Those are content creators. I'm talking about for the average person. We're talking about Timmy's mom here.
Timmy's mom.
They need to do something better about the name, and that is again, I think, something that will go against this thing, and it just makes it seem like another random device. Yeah. Right. They might as well have added several numbers to the name, like the 4627 Ally, whatever. Right. Anyway, So, aside from that ridiculous name, I don't know who would mark. Okay, let me calm down. Oh,
breathe, sir. Breathe.
These things bother me. But from day one, when I saw the Steam Deck, which I love, it's an amazing, amazing device. I was a hater in the beginning, but that was only because they didn't send I pre-ordered it.
Things tend to be with you.
Out.
Hater first, lover later. I hear it.
That's my default response. I
Clearly.
hate and then I learn. Right? Right? You gotta,
but you never seem to learn with your mood. You still go to hate first still.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
My first instance with everything new that I encounter is distrust. But then which is a good outlook. I would have to be honest with. Always distrust first. I hear you. Continue. I was gonna say something, but it's not that kind of show.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say, especially when it comes to these, but
no,
you can put that together. In the
Continue,
chat.
sir. What are we doing?
But I don't know. But I say that to say I saw this and something there was like a eureka moment, like a light went off in my head, because this does support the external GPU, and I saw someone in the chat ask about that. Right?
Yeah, it's proprietary for now, but it does support the external GPU.
Sure. But it's Windows based, which is the first thing I wanted when I saw the Steam Deck. Right? I wish it was Windows.
Yep.
But being Windows based, then there's this idea of when you're home and you plug it in, you can have an external GPU, like a docking station almost, and plug it in, and now you're running off the
and now you got a Series X basically.
Right. Well, we're coming to that because it's 4090 or 4080 is.
And let's be clear. Their mobile iteration of the 4090 is just wordplay. It's kind of a 3080. Like they call it a 4090,
which is still
powerful. Don't get me wrong.
GPU.
Don't get me wrong. But all I'm saying is, anytime and every time people like their mobile variant of, oh, you have a mobile 4090. No, you don't. It's because if you see that 4090, it has a housing that is so big that it needs its own case. It's a freaking monster thing. Putting it in a laptop means they drop it down significantly, and they still give it the same name to make you feel good about it. It's not the same power, but continue.
Sure.
Yes.
Neither here nor there. So I say all that to say, it made me think, what could a mobile Xbox device be? And I thought about it, and we had this conversation on Twitter, and a lot of people were like, yeah, they should have another SKU for, maybe next gen comes around, and there'll be a third SKU. And I said, wait. And then some people said, no, it would be 2 SKUs. And I said, wait a minute. What if there was just one handheld device, right? And that's all it was for the next generation Xbox. And it was handheld, right? And when it's handheld, that's basically like your Series S iteration or whatever that evolves to.
As a handheld, the performance profile will be Series S-like.
Yes, right? But then you had the docking station that it comes with, or you buy separately, depending on how much you want to spend up front. That would be, once you plug it in, it would have an external GPU with the VRAM, right? So you get more memory or whatever. And more when you plug it in, now you have your Series X profile.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And so developers would still only have to develop for 2 SKUs. And your dock would just be an add-on to the main device, which is the handheld. So think of the way the Switch works today.
So a Switch Pro,
when
is what you're saying. A proper Switch Pro.
People want to call it that.
And real quick, Lucius Augustus, I hear you, sir. Those are the same arguments I've been giving. The same arguments you're giving is the same arguments I've been giving. But he's talking next gen. Let's assume that the generation lasts for another 3 to 4 years, right? And even with conversations of mid-gen refreshes coming, this would be the next gen in 2027. Let's just say that. For the sake of this, for the sake of the co-mayor being of Speculation Town being here, we're talking years out where Series X and S could then potentially be profiled in mobile, and you wouldn't lose that much. Continue, Everborn.
So this idea of, because and I don't want you to understand this. Like Microsoft says they're buying Activision for mobile. They say mobile is their future, and having a device like this that is with you all the time, that could serve as your flagship device for your new mobile store. And before anyone in the chat says, wait, that would be based on your own OS. Yes, the mobile store that they're proposing is a multi-platform store. There will be a version of it on Android. There will be a version of it on iOS.
Yep.
So you're going to have your Xbox OS based device. And obviously it would play all the back catalog stuff. So Series games, Xbox One games, 360 games, all the ones you can play today, plus whatever the next generation games are going to be. And again, you're playing it mobile, you dock it, and now you have your high-end experience. I think that's a future that would put together everything Microsoft's trying to do. Whether it's the mobile game store, whether it is just looking at where the market is going, whether it is breaking into the Eastern market because they're kind of shifting towards mobile, or the rest of the world is shifting towards mobile, but still holding on to the console experience. That's the way to go. And if I would love it if that's what they're working on for next gen.
So you're getting people talking, man.
Tell me I'm
people
crazy.
Talking. While Lucius Augustus is saying, too many hurdles, for this dream to materialize. Some people are seeing what you're putting down there, Everborn. And I gotta tell you, in today's parlance, with today's technology, impossible. As of today, it just cannot happen. There, as Lucius is saying, there's many hurdles. There's a lot of pitfalls for it, but there is hope. There is hope. But
wait a minute.
Well, hold on, real quick. As Pixelbit G is pointing out, imagine if you mandate some of the optional smart features as a mandate for development in this environment. Now, that would offload a lot of overhead resources. And imagine VRS being a minimum spec, right?
You can't do that today.
No, you can't.
Because of the position Microsoft is in the market.
Sure.
But we're talking about Microsoft that owns Activision and that will almost certainly be a larger market force at that time. And people will want access to those 400 million monthly active users.
Yeah.
And if you want access to those users,
you have to jump in this way.
You're gonna have to get out later and use some of these features.
And the smart features would then offset the high resource usage that you see now in plugged-in consoles, right? So as I've always said, instead of developing with raw power, you develop smartly so the overhead still stays without needing such an uplift. The issues that people refuse to circumvent with the Series S of today, right? Pong. But what do you think about?
Really quick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Really quick.
Yeah.
I know Lucius thinks there's too many hurdles, but we're watching right now this ridiculously named ROG Ally handheld.
Yeah.
They're doing it right now. They have their own proprietary interface, right? They're supporting external GPUs. It's a handheld.
Which the proprietary interface, it's just basically a Thunderbolt 4 × 2. And they've given it a proprietary connector. Right?
Whatever you got to do. I'm saying, why couldn't that happen on the console side where you have a proprietary interface that allows for an external GPU with
and
memory?
To be clear, when we say this is for a dream of tomorrow, today, when that ROG comes out, we don't know the exact price, but what we do know is that external GPU that connects is $2,000 just for that connection.
Right, but again,
so that's for today's problem.
But that's not a problem because look how much a 4090 costs today.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't ask me how much I paid for mine.
Right. But then look how much a Series X costs today.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So we're talking about something that will be heavily subsidized. It will be single purpose use. It will be, you're not shoehorning this other stuff into it. They could make it, they could scale it, and that would bring the price down. You can't apply the PC prices to what we're talking about, because how much would it cost you to build a Series X today versus how much a Series X actually costs? And add that multiplier to it, and then tell me how much it'll cost.
I mean, to be fair, like you can't spec for spec the Series X right now. You can't, because it's a different variant, but you can get close. Like, yeah, this is the problem. Like, that's why I keep saying that it's a dream for tomorrow, because as Lucius Augustus points out right now, it's like it's not a $3,000 to $500 subsidization, and with the technology and the prices
of the
today,
$2,000 is the 4090?
Today, with the issues of today, right, using the technology and the prices of today, it would have to be that much of an uplift. But in the 5-6 years from now, it will not be that big of an uplift. Like, so this is...
but I'm talking, but I'm not talking about today's graphics in 5-6 years from now.
Sure.
I'm talking about a next gen device. So again, what Pixel says in the chat, how much would it cost to build a similarly spec'd PC in 2020 to the Series X?
Well, but that's different though. That's different.
No, don't. That's different. Me.
The reason why I say that's different. The reason why I say that's different is because just like in the storage market, right? There's such cost versus demand that it makes those prices fluctuate drastically to the point where
that's
Xbox
why I gave you
didn't
a point
even know.
In time.
That's why Xbox didn't even know that the M.2s would fall like a stone when they did. Like in the PC space, it does that, but in the console space where it's not that controlled by other elements, it falls more in line. You know what I mean? Like if you compare it to an end user PC space where there's like such demand that all of a sudden all your tech specs go from costing $2,000 a piece to costing $500 a piece, that happens in that market. It's a bit of a false.
Sidestepping, sir.
I'm not.
It's not.
It's just
it's
not
an
apples to apples comparison.
And you still haven't been able to give me an answer.
Okay, so in 2020, like a Series X would be about $1,200-$1,300. Yes.
$1,200-$1,300 down to $500.
Yes.
And it would have been more than that because people had done articles and YouTube videos trying to do it. Linus Tech Tips did one.
Yeah,
and we can go and we can pull that up. So it would be more than that. And again, the reason that add-on is $2,000 is specifically because they're using a 4090, which is a $1,500 card.
Well, no, but that's my point. It's not a $1,500 card. What you're talking about specifically that they put in there is about $800, $700 because it's the mobile variant. It's not the full big monster.
Is the mobile variant of the 4090 only $800?
Yes, because it comes in 2 laptops. You don't buy that retail. You can't.
Right,
buy that
but when
retail.
you go to the 4090 model of specking up your laptop, does it only go up by $800? I doubt that.
The reason why they call it a 4090 is so they can give you that upfront cost. I'm telling you,
I understand that.
It's not a 4090.
I'm not debating that it's not a 4090. I'm saying when you spec up your laptop, and you say I want the 4090
just because they call it 4090 and charge you more doesn't mean it's warranted. Like, come on.
You're not listening to me. I don't think you're listening to me.
No, right? I am listening
you're
to you.
You're caught on this point that these things are not the same. You've already established that. I've never disagreed with it. What I am saying is when you spec up your PC and you go to the ASUS site and you have your
it'll cost you like
laptop,
maybe $1,000 more because it's called the 4090.
So it's not. So even though it's a mobile thing, we're talking about that's adding $1,000 of cost to this thing.
Yeah.
So when we say it costs $2,000, it's not. That's because the card costs so much. So what I'm saying, based on whatever specs this thing will be, it is doable, and you have to add the multiplier of what they can do.
And for the record, I don't disagree with you that it's doable. I just don't think it's doable anytime soon. But before we continue, because I want to see Pong Soul
4 or 5 years from now,
because Pong Soul's sitting here eating his popcorn, and let me get him in here.
I love this.
But before I do, we have Dave Ramos in here with a $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says showing that Saturday support, enjoying the show. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. And all the folks who super chat, again, you don't have to, but the fact that you are super chatting is so appreciated because it is helping us boost this show. We're going to do a lot of interesting things. We have folks tinkering away in the background, getting us some interesting things worked out. Mr. Pong Soul. He is EverbornSaga is putting together a vision, right?
Yes.
A vision of this pro-level hybrid device that may be what we want, us technologists want from a Switch, right? Where you have one profile on your hand in your handheld while you're walking on, going about your day, and then you plug it in, and boom, you have like a monster machine. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I love it. Again, as somebody who likes to look down the road, and Everborn's spot on when he talks about Microsoft's vision and what they're going for in the future, that type of device would make a lot of sense because you would be able to hit all the markets across the world in varying degrees with that type of device that had that flexibility, right? Again, Utopia, absolutely, 100%. I would be on board with that, depending on price point. Tech-wise, and again, I'm not the tech guy. I rely on people like you, Kay Asante, to go through this process of what it would take to make this kind of vision happen. What I'm hearing is, I don't think next generation, but 2 generations from now, maybe we do have the ability to make that a reality, right?
Yes.
I definitely think that, again, I'm not going to dismiss what Everborn's saying, because everything he points out from where Microsoft wants to be placing themselves within this industry, which is, let's face it, in every single aspect. If you're video gaming, it doesn't matter if you're mobile, it doesn't matter if you're console, it doesn't matter if you're PC, it doesn't matter if you're tablet.
Lines are blurring all the time. Absolutely.
Right. They want to be there in some form or fashion in that ecosystem. They want you in their ecosystem wherever you are. So if they can make this a reality, if they were able to get the tech to work, absolutely, of course. Because then, again, in those markets that are mobile only, people could decide, okay, well, I'm mobile almost all the time. And so I'm just going to buy, the mobile version, and I'm cool with the reduced specs, and I don't need the best of the best because I've been playing on a Switch, so I don't care anyways. So this is going to be an upgrade for me. But for those people that want both, then to have the option to dock it and have that ability, which would be me, that would be fantastic. So, no, I love this idea.
To Everborn's point, like we were ideating on this some time ago, and to his point, you don't only have to get one with a dock that gives you more strength. You could be the Series S user that just likes what you like, and then that dock comes with just dockability that plugs into your TV, no extra specs.
Correct.
If you happen to want the big boost, then you buy the one that has a big dock, right? And there's a future where every couple of years a new dock would come out that have even more power. You plug that thing in, and that's the new standard. It's an interesting idea, right? It is an interesting idea. I'm just not sure of the timeline when something like that can materialize. But he and I are completely in line in the idea that if someone could thread that needle and make it turnkey and make it console-like in its execution, I think you got something there. I definitely do. I see Tim the Sorcerer in here saying, great show with the gaming circle, living split screen hybrid. Have a great Easter. Thank you,
What's
sir.
up, Tim?
We just need Steel Rain in here.
Yes, we do. We do. We will do that one of these days. Absolutely.
And then we need 24 hours.
Yes,
so that's how long
we're going to have drinks. We're going to sit here. Every once in a while, you'll see us go screen
food
off.
Catered in.
Yeah, go screen off. Go to the men's room real quick. Come back. And, of course, we have Jonas the Dad in here. Thank you for joining us, sir, with a $5 super chat saying, we don't have internet infrastructure speeds. South Korea, like everywhere, has gig speeds. Device beef doesn't matter if we can't connect to that speed. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think we're kind of a little bit away from the world where a cloud-first device is your main driver, because you need that great infrastructure. So you will always have a need for local rendering at some point. Because, frankly, say what you will, some people take a closed view that, America's is not the only place. True, but America's a strong market. And until America has cracked the nut on having infrastructure that is completely blanketed, that everyone can have, like millimeter wave, not that fake 5G, that real 5G that blankets the states, you probably won't see a huge company pull that needle and really like go
and
go
they'll
hard on
probably
mobile
be on 7G everywhere else by the time.
we get there.
5G.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you have to also consider emerging markets as well. Still. Because emerging markets and areas that are underdeveloped, you know, really underdeveloped, are going to be coming online more and more and more. And Phil's talked about that specifically, right? That they are looking at those emerging markets, and you're going to have to consider those down the road for any tech that you're going to use.
But here's the thing about emerging markets and sort of internet infrastructure rollout, and you see this with the train systems and everything else. There's a benefit to starting later, right?
Correct.
Because if you're not going to roll out 3G technology in an emerging market, you're going to roll out whatever the current thing is. So those emerging markets will probably have better internet than we do, which is once they roll it out.
Hopefully,
that's
like
the hope.
It's tough because you don't. If you're talking about smaller countries like Japan, right, or South Korea, it's a lot easier. But if you're talking about a big emerging market, let's say in Africa, you're going to have a lot of different things at play. Trying to build out, you know, consistent type of infrastructure across the board. That's going to be a lot tougher.
And Pong Soul says he's not a technologist, but he's speaking facts right there, because specifically millimeter wave 5G is very short. Right. Yeah. So unlike the normal like infrastructure that that they put a big tower up and it blankets like half a city. No, you need lots of teeny tiny little towers to keep that speed consistent. So in huge areas like your various African countries, like it's a lot of infrastructure you need in order to get that thing working to the way you want it to work. So I completely agree with you, sir. I see KC in the chat. Thank you, sir. He says Xbox need to pay Everborn some money. Oh boy, you don't know how right you are. We go. Maybe one day we'll talk about Microsoft paying Everborn money. Who knows? Who knows? Before we move on to the next story, though, all this brings me to maybe a question that I want to ask our community. I've been thinking about it, and shout out to the man, Mr. Joanna Dark, who's also in here. He kind of put that bug in my ear a little while ago, and I wanted to just ask you guys what you think. A lot of folks ping me in the DM. We're having conversations about hardware and configuring and helping people like get their. I put like Windows 11 on the Steam Deck and doing all this stuff. He asked me, well, why don't you have a show for folks who are into that, who are like, getting their feet wet with handhelds or new to the PC market and this and that. And I'm like, that's an interesting idea. Maybe a different show in addition to what we do here for folks who are ready to dip their toe in that water and maybe do some tips and tricks and, pointers, kind of do that at a bigger scale. So just a thought I'm putting out there. Let me know your thoughts. Hit me in the comment section, because I do read all of them and I reply back, and I really appreciate the support. But I'm thinking about it. Maybe a shorter show, not this grandiose blowout that we do every Saturday, but maybe a shorter show on a day of the week where we'll talk about something for the newbies among us who need a bit of tips and little help here and there, getting their feet wet in the world of technology. Might be something I could think about. Yeah. So just think about that. Let me know what you think, and we appreciate all the support and all the continued interaction. The last bit of kind of techie talk that we'll get into before we get in down the line of some more conversations is for those who haven't heard, Microsoft has been pretty big on allowing folks to kind of tinker on their own for those who want to. For as while back as even as far back as the Xbox One generation, they allowed PC people to turn their consoles into development kits, right? You install the app, you can convert to a development mode environment. You pay, I think, $20 in the States anyway. You pay $20 and you get a license to just be able to do that. And people use that to build games. I've actually done that to build a game and send it over and play it on the console, right? But as of recently, that has materialized in folks then putting emulators on it and playing a bunch of your old school favorites, right? And one thing led to another, and people discovered a way of bringing that into retail mode, meaning the proper console, no need for dev mode included. And that's been allowed, and well, I wouldn't say allowed. That's been available for about 2-3 years now, right? It became very, very ubiquitous with the advent of the Series S. People going, oh, this is amazing. You could do all this stuff. But as of recently, I think it was like April 3rd, April 4th, Microsoft has finally put the kibosh on the situation, at least on the retail side. And I thought it was an interesting conversation to have here, where they're now locking it down. When you log in to try and do that, you get this message that says unable to launch this game or app because the game you're trying to, the game or app you're launching violates Microsoft's store policy and is not supported, right? So some people are upset by this. Some people are, completely rip-roaring about it.
Want to have any legal exposure.
And we will definitely get into that. Yes, absolutely. Shout out to the MVG. If you haven't heard of him, the modern vintage gamer. He's out here doing such great work, both teaching and both advising. He has a great YouTube channel. If you haven't checked him out, he's a developer in his own right. If you haven't checked him out, you definitely should. I'm a big fan of MVG. So he's been spearheading this. He actually showed off a lot of what could be done when this whole thing blew up in the first place. And now he was talking to folks. He had a conversation with some folks from the Xbox side. And yeah, long story short, they're kind of, looking at potential legal ramifications from Nintendo, because Nintendo was tends to be the platform that people tend to want to emulate a lot, right? So Nintendo and a few other things that have put the stop to this, right? So because of that, they're going, look, we have a good relationship with this other platform. We don't want to get them angry at us, so we are stopping this practice. But if you have paid your $20 and you do have your development environment, or if you haven't paid your $20 and this news makes you go, I didn't know you could emulate stuff, it is still very much doable and very much possible. It's literally splitting your hard drive in half, having one for development, having one for retail. Retail stays clean. Development, you can do whatever you want with it. And that is still possible today. Mr. Pong Soul, I'm sure you heard about this. I'm sure that this has been a thing that's been rolling around the zeitgeist, so you're fully aware on this. Some people are outraged. What are your thoughts? Is this outrage worthy? Is this an L for Microsoft? Or is this just par for the course? What are your thoughts?
It's definitely par for the course because, as Everborn said, legal ramifications being involved. You don't want to, make your partners in Nintendo mad, and they are partners in the grand scheme of things, and they do work together. Whether we know about it publicly or not, and they don't want to make people upset. I'm of two minds. Obviously, business-wise, you do want to limit your exposure to anything down the road when it comes to the legal side, and just controversy overall. You don't want it. Microsoft is, and any big corporation is averse to anything that can bring negative light. As the consumer, as the person, right, as the human being who has some anarchist to him that doesn't like Big Brother always clamping down on things, right? I was out here talking about how Microsoft and the big wigs clamp down on chat AI right away instead of letting it run free.
Sure.
I don't like this.
You just got mad you couldn't talk to your girl anymore.
Correct. Exactly. I was developing a relationship and they shut it off, right? So I don't like this stuff per se. If it's available, an emulation I know is a gray area to a lot of people. I know in a lot of ways it's definitely legal to emulate games.
Depending on where you are. Other countries,
depending on where you are, correct.
Yep.
It gets foggy in other areas or completely illegal in other areas. But so from that standpoint, I don't like it. But I've got to be understanding of Microsoft's point here, especially on the retail side. Like you said, Kay Asante, if you do go to the dev side, if you pay that $20, you can still do it freely over there. I know some Xbox people. Yep. Yeah, I know some Xbox people have been kind of public about it. How exciting it is to be able to do that on the dev side of things, and obviously they haven't shut that down. Like you don't have to be some official dev to pay the $20. You can be me, who has no interest in in becoming a developer and pay my $20, open up my system, and be able to go over there and do the same thing.
And
right?
it's not complicated at all.
Right.
There are a million and one YouTubes saying you press this, press that.
There are
20-minute video and you're done.
Right. Yeah. So from that standpoint, Microsoft is still keeping it open, right? Just not as friendly, user friendly per se, because a lot of us look at it, and even with you saying it's easy, Asante, and me watching videos on people doing, I'm still like, do I really want to go through all that hassle?
Some people, some people just want that turnkey experience. It
right,
is what it
turnkey
is.
experience.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a good way to put it. So, but you got to be understanding of Microsoft's point here with them, and Nintendo being the main one. They're not the only one, but obviously Nintendo is notorious for shutting down anybody, going after kids, for God's sakes. It's another reason to not like Nintendo, by the way.
There is a reason why you haven't seen me put 60 frames per second gameplay of Breath of the Wild on this channel.
There you go. Yes, correct. You don't want that trouble. So from that standpoint, again, you got to be understanding where Microsoft is coming from. And they, it's well within their rights, even if you don't like it, to say, no, we're not going to allow this on the retail side of things. So I got to be understanding with the business aspect and say that this, you can be upset about it. I understand why you'd be upset about it, but you should have a little bit more understanding where Microsoft is coming as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm in 100% agreement with you. I think folks were tempting fate by going that retail side of the house. It's $20, people.
Right.
I understand. You say it sounds simple. Some folks may not have that easy on hand, and I get you. But these grades are real, people. I come from a world where people used to go to the equivalent of underground blockbusters, if you will, to go buy that disc that has been copied in order to get. It was running rampant at some point, right?
Oh, Dreamcast.
It brought down one of the greatest systems ever, right? Absolutely. And the PSP for that matter, right? It brought down a lot of them, right? So the fact that Microsoft is giving folks an avenue to be able to get this stuff done and just asking you to keep it separated, right? Keep it, keep it cool, right? I think it's absolutely no big deal. Mr. EverbornSaga, did this reach your radar at any point? Are you plussed in any way?
It did, but I don't care. The Steam Deck is the emulation device. I was never using the Xbox for emulation. I will go to the Steam Deck, so this is much to do about nothing. File this in the circular filing cabinet. Just don't care.
There you go.
I don't even have anything to add.
No, hey.
You should be doing your emulation on the Steam Deck if that's your bag.
Absolutely.
Simple, plain,
absolutely,
straight to the
100%.
point.
See, and for those who are like, well, they'll do this to the Steam Deck as well. The reason why they can't do this to the Steam Deck as well is because the Steam Deck is an open platform versus the console, which is a closed platform, and the only one seemingly responsible for keeping that store is Microsoft, right? Whereas Valve can go, look, man, Steam doesn't have emulation on it, but anybody can throw anything on Windows or put anything on Linux, and what can we say about it? It's part of the ecosystem. So that's how you get away. That's how you shift focus on that frame. So I completely agree with you all. But for those, and I would say check your regional restrictions, right? But for those who can, emulation is out there. You can dump your games legally and put them on your device and do that. That is the only way that Nintendo will get Breath of the Wild 2 money out of me, because otherwise I was just never going to go buy $70 for the next version of Breath of the Wild. I wasn't going to do it. But the fact that it's on the same engine, meaning seemingly it can be emulated also on the deck for higher frame rates, that makes me go, okay, I might give that a shot. So, while they're canceling it and putting the kibosh on it left and right, they kind of need it a little bit here and there too. So it's kind of good that they're doing that. So Mr. Pixelbit G's in here. Thank you, sir. We call him the lore master, and he's here with a $5 super chat, and he's saying shout out to the PS1 for being the beast it was, because it was the most hacked. Stop it. I will give you a quick story though. Back in those days when Asante couldn't afford much because we were kids then, I spent many days trying to find a game that would play just burnt, right? You burn it and you just put it in. None of them would work except for Mortal Kombat Ultimate. That one, as soon as the splash screen goes away, you do a little bit of the switcheroo, and you were playing it. Let's just say I played that game until the disc became unplayable, right? Me and a whole bunch of people. We had tournaments for years just based off of that. So yes, shout out to the PS1. It was absolutely amazing. That and the demo disc. Battle Arena Toshinden never left my console. It was absolutely amazing. But okay. I want to take a quick detour, and we'll see how far we go in this direction. But I want to have a conversation about it because tonight, provided that my children behave themselves, because they're all in the house right now, let's just give you some real tips real quick. Bribery works. I promise them if they behave themselves during the course of me having this show, what will happen? We will be taking them to the drive-in this evening to go see the Super Mario Brothers movie. All right, so that's why they are quiet as mice right now. So I had to bring it to the conversation. I had to bring it to the forefront. I had to just real quick, just get a pulse of the environment because it's interesting. Myself and Everborn, we've done On the Reel. We are big movie and TV show watchers ourselves, right? And the conversation about this movie has been polarizing, right? And it is game adjacent, so it's worth a conversation. It seems those who are just standard moviegoers have nothing but crap to dump on this on this movie, right? Oh, it's terrible. But those who happen to be knowers of the source material are completely opposite in this regard. So I kind of want to bring this to the forefront. I kind of want to bring this to the people. I suspect I know where Pong is going to go, so I'll start with you first, sir. Are you going to watch this movie? Do you care? What are your thoughts?
Don't care. The Nintendo hater, right? So
don't care. Don't care. Have zero attachment. I've got nostalgia. Again, for anybody who doesn't know, I haven't owned personally. My kids have owned Nintendo from time to time. Mm-hmm. I haven't personally owned a Nintendo since Super Nintendo. That's when I ended my relationship with Nintendo. I obviously respect them for their place in the history of video games, all that good stuff. I don't hate on them just to hate on them. So
you're saying you're with Sony and they are not part of the high performance console market.
Very much so. We can go ahead and divide that pie up and leave Nintendo out. That's fine.
That's right.
Because they're not, and they haven't been for quite a while now.
Yes.
I wish there are games that I do still look over and wish I had a Nintendo and want to play. A lot of them RPGs, obviously. There are some. But anyway, back to the movie. I'm happy that everybody's getting their Mario movie. I am kind of shocked, Kei Asante, from reading some of the reviews because I still dive into things even if they don't hold interest for me because I want to know about stuff. So I did dive into some of the reviews on this. I thought we were past the point of movie reviewers in general, the population not knowing about video games. And, with so many different transmedia now being out there and, game stories going to movie, going to TV. We saw Halo, we saw The Last of Us, etc. I thought we were kind of past this point.
And one of those was great.
Stop.
Right,
sorry.
One of those.
Not
Master Cheeks. Not Master Cheeks, everyone. I thought we were past the point where the ignorance was spilling over into reviews, that people were acting like, oh, I don't understand this. Like, what is there to understand about Mario? I don't understand why we're deep diving on some of these reviews, trying to break down why this was not exactly what it is, what we thought it would be, right? That this is a Mario movie through and through.
Yeah.
And I would definitely look more to the audience scores on this one if you are one of those people that look at it, because a lot of the reviewers are in that camp of like, I just don't get this. Like, this isn't good movie. Like, this bad. Like, I think the audience score has got it right, because the audience is going to be the people who do understand Mario, who are bringing their kids to this movie as a kids movie. And if you do like Mario, you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it, is from what I've been reading and hearing from everybody. So I think the audience score is the correct one this time around. And I think that anybody who's looking forward to this, bringing their kids, or just a huge Mario fan, is going to love this movie from everything that I've seen and read. So shout out to everybody out there, because I want everybody to get something that they enjoy. So, even though it's not for me, I'm happy. Yep.
So Pong, I feel like I'm half and half on this, right?
Yeah.
And I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with your sentiment. In a world we live right now where video game properties are not a niche property anymore. They are not niche. They are very much in the mainstream and in the zeitgeist.
This is in a world of Arcane and Last of Us.
Exactly.
And Edge Runners.
Yes, I feel like if you are a movie critic outlet and you don't have someone on staff that has an affinity for this, one of the greatest IPs known to man for gamers, then you're kind of doing your readers or viewers a disservice, and it makes your criticism worth a little less, because it's like, come on now, you don't know Mario? Like, what are we talking about here? But I disagree. I'll let you speak. I will let you speak, Everborn. But on the flip side of the house, I also agree that as a film, as a movie, right?
Yeah.
These transmedia properties tend to serve as an ability to bring more folks into the tent, right? Sure. Arcane being a very good example of it. I am I wouldn't call myself a hater, but I give most MOBA properties short shrift. I just do. I've never been a big fan of that, right? But man, I have to say Arcane made me a stan. Like, it brought me in, right? And by and large, if you look at what Cyberpunk has enjoyed, it's not only from the gamers, right? It was such a 4-quadrant story, right? That it really brought folks in and made them investigate, hey, what is this, right? I know people who were just viewers of The Last of Us as a TV show, and it did such a good job that it made them buy a PS5 or a PS4 just to experience that game. So for me, there's an argument to be made that both sides of the house are correct here. But I think I know where you are going from, Mr. EverbornSaga. What side of the house do you fall, sir?
If you are making an adaptation, you need to take advantage of the adaptation and tell a good story if you're going to film. Like, so what we can't do, in my opinion, is say, well, you knew all the games, or you should know all the games, and that's who they're making it for, because then you could have just made more video games, right? You didn't have to make a movie. And so in the same way, I wouldn't say a film to video game adaptation is good because it has a good story, but the gameplay is trash. You can't turn around and say a film is good because it nails the visual element, but they didn't actually tell a good story. Now, that is just boilerplate stuff, because the three of us here have not seen the movie yet.
So I'm going to see it tonight. Yes.
As am I. Awesome. But we can't really say whether the critics got it right or wrong until we play it. Yeah. But I am against the idea that we can say, well, you should know these things because everybody's played Mario. I don't think that that's fair to do. I think if you're making a movie, you have to tell a good story, full stop. Now, the question could be, well, what are you expecting from a movie, right? And it could be that what they were going out to do is target Mario at young audiences because it's a G-rated game or whatever, right? So we're going to make a G-rated movie. I know this is PG, but you know what I'm saying. So maybe what they were going for was Paw Patrol. You have to allow that. Not everything got to be about you, right? Yeah. You may have grown up with Mario, but they're making a kids. Did you want Mario to be a sad dad? Yeah. Right? So I just want to know if they tell a coherent story, and if they did, then that's what I will grade it on. Now, there's the other aspect of, I'm not really going to this movie for a good story. I'm going there for them to visualize all the stuff I remember from Mario. I'm going there for the Easter eggs, right? So when you show me, the Mario Kart section, when you show me, I just want to know, does Link show up anywhere in this, right? Because you got the Donkey Kong people there, right? If you show me that, it's going to be a 10 out of 10. It doesn't matter what story they tell. And so you know, maybe they are saying we're gonna tell it for kids. That's the audience we want to bring in, and for the old fogies like us three here, that's really gonna be about showing you the Easter eggs from the stuff you remember from Mario.
See, and you know what? I think I agree with you on that as well. And to be clear, when I say that they should have like someone with an affinity to the material, I think as a critical outlet that's giving critique on the substance, right, on this topic, you should have that. But
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why I disagree.
Let me make my point first. But as a consumer, like as just a person who you want to go pay to go to the movies, it needs to be a good movie, standing on its own. Otherwise, you kind of lost the thread. Unless you think, you as the maker of said movie, think that there's enough of an audience that loved the source material so much that they can yada 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 through the beginning. You know, I've heard some certain takes like, well, why are there blocks in the middle of the air? Like, why are there like mushroom people? No, nothing is explained because that's what people have. That's what the argument has been made.
Has sold over 400 million copies.
Exactly. And that's why if you are, that's why to me,
franchise history.
That's why to me, if you are, I don't know, the Washington Post, I'm just picking from someone. I'm not picking on anybody. Just if you are one of these outlets that wants to be one of the arbiters of, hey, come to us for your critique on movies, it is in your best interest to have people that are more well-rounded than that, than a no slight meant, but a know nothing about Mario going to go and critique the story, right? But on the flip side, if you are a maker of said movie and you want more people to come in, kind of like how The Last of Us is bringing people in, kind of how like Cyberpunk is bringing people in, all of that, you should also pay attention to those who may know nothing about the platform or the backstory or the IP at all, and find a way of getting them enticed into it as well.
The only question is the existing fan base who know the lore, is that fan base large enough to sustain
That's
you
the question,
to where you don't have to explain these things?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think Mario is one of those properties
that could be big enough.
Yeah. I absolutely do think it is. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
And if
but if you're saying that, then you're kind of agreeing with me that people who come into it not knowing a damn thing, like if you are an outlet that wants to be followed and respected in this space, then you should have gotten a person who knows this source material better.
Let me tell you why I disagree. Because the reviewer has to go in there as the casual person, right? It's the same reason we thought it was suspect that they only had Elden Ring fans reviewing Elden Ring.
Well, but to your point about this IP being big enough, that means there's more of a casual fan that still knows this IP.
Yeah, but the fan that knows the IP can go and look at the IGN review. They don't have to look at the Washington Post review.
Okay.
Right? You have to have outlets that don't have, because how are you going to gauge it, right? If you don't have some outlets that are speaking for the people that know nothing about this.
Okay. Pong, I know you had something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, to your point about
last things, Pong. I'm going into this movie, my barometer is how it compares to the Sonic movie.
Oh God!
And it better live up.
Of course.
But you don't already know
there's no Jim Carrey in this movie, so we'll see if Jack Black can.
Hey! I will not take any Jack Black slander. He shoots his shot every time, and he always comes back with aces. I expect him to be on point.
Is he better than Jim Carrey? But anyway, please, Pong.
I kind of think he's been doing it better than Jim Carrey for a long time, but that's neither here nor there. Pong, go ahead.
Come on now. Hold on.
We're starting new sland over here. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think I think to Keosate's point and to my point, there is you have to have a baseline knowledge, and I'll compare this to when we see video game reviewers review a franchise or review a genre that they don't have any interest in. We see this all the time. You can say that you should have reviewers out there like, from wherever that don't have any knowledge for the casual fan. But that doesn't always translate into a good review, because we do see that in video games where somebody who doesn't like RPGs reviews an RPG and goes, I don't get it, or I hated this part of it. And that's not giving the general audience any more, insight into the gameplay because somebody who doesn't normally play those type of games didn't like it. Like that doesn't give any insight. You want somebody that has some baseline knowledge to be able to explain things better for even the general people who maybe don't have that experience, so that they have an actual good idea of what they're walking into versus somebody else who doesn't have any real opinions walking into it. Because I think that does do a disservice to the general audience as well for your review.
I mean, to your point there, look at this. Look at the user score versus the Metacritic score, right? And that's call Metacritic what you will. How about Rotten Tomatoes? Yeah. Right. Look at the users to the critical score. I suspect that when this is the world we live in, the critical outlets should be looking at themselves, going, that meme of. We done messed up, right? Like this is
no, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Don't be overrun by the angry hordes and the masses. You stand on your square.
And I'm not saying that they're being overrun. It kind of feels like they're a little out of touch on this one, just a little bit.
No, they gave their opinions, right? This is an aggregate score of people giving their opinions. That's it.
Okay.
Right? And the day one people that are rushing out at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday to see Mario are the hardcore fans. So of course they're gonna like it.
Well, I mean, if you see it in the afternoon, chances are you have kids. Ain't nobody gonna see this at night. Like, what are we doing? This is all gonna have all matinee audiences. It was like a midnight
showing, and it came out and people watched it then.
Sure. And to Everborn's point, everything is an opinion, and that's why I don't. Besides the trusted people that I generally agree with, I don't go by reviews because I've liked Metacritic scores in the 50s. I like games that were Metacritic score 55, right? That I thought were really great. So that is a great point, Everborn. Overall, I think too many people nowadays are, they are led like sheep by other people's opinions versus judging for themselves, right?
Sure.
And a lot of times it's hard. You have to sometimes because you're not going to go buy everything. You're not going to go spend money on everything, just because you want to give it a chance. Sometimes you are going to listen to other people.
But Pong, how about we take that concept a step further?
Yeah.
A lot of people are letting their individual experience be influenced by the popular opinion. So they even though they're experiencing these things for themselves, they're letting someone else tell them how to feel about a thing.
They're letting others chew their food for them. I understand.
If they see a majority have a different opinion about something that from them in their own experience, a lot of times they will allow that to influence and change how they feel about something. And I totally agree. Cyberpunk hate train was ridiculous. Like it was
100%. Yes. Now we have Jonas the Dad in here with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Jonas.
Vicious Price said after Jonas the Dad.
Jonas is saying, I'm jealous of my kids streaming, Xbox, cell phones, even emerging VR. I wanted that at 10. Kids/grandkids are gonna have a freaking holodeck. Damn, absolutely, sir. I feel like I'm getting too old too quick to enjoy what I really want to. I feel
we appreciate those things more. Kids won't have.
They won't have that appreciation.
We always
for
joke.
Yes.
They're gonna figure out a cure for death right after I pass away.
And then of course, Vicious Price in here with a slanderous take saying Mario movie's a solid 7. Saw it yesterday with kids. Sonic movie is way better in my opinion. This is exactly why he had us read this, because he put out that Sonic stuff. Of course. And then we have Dreadful Sean, another great member of the community in here, saying this is why I love Game Pass. Lets me play games without having to worry about the critic scores. Exactly. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So no,
shadow drop everything.
We're gonna. I suspect we will have more conversations about this once we have seen the Nintendo movie. I heard some people who know the subject matter talk about there were emotional moments in it, and people are like, 10-year-old me is just kind of like, oh, verklempt and all of that, Same thing that happened in the early days of the MCU, right? And then what happened? Eventually, people go, yeah, now we need more. So we'll see how this goes. I say put a pin in this one. We'll definitely be back to have more conversations after we see this movie. I'm looking forward to it. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of the matter. I want to have a conversation about Sony's response to the CMA changing their minds and reversing course on keeping console in the main focus of Remedy and Concern. You know that's why you're here, ladies and gentlemen. You know that's why we have this talk on a Saturday morning. While Sony keeps providing us more fodder for the fire, we will keep talking about it. You know, I'm telling you, by the time we work out the Everborn corner where he can put on the bifocals and have a crackling virtual fire, all this news will be over. Pretend you're seeing it right now. But, of course, if you have not been paying attention, right, some time ago, a couple weeks ago, the week we took off, funny enough, the CMA came in and basically said exactly what the UK had said, which was, hey, you know, after looking at over all the documentation, after looking over all the information we had, and after taking into consideration Microsoft's reframing of our math, we now see,
we don't care.
You know, it's not what we thought it was. Those Sony talking points, yeah, throw them in the bushes, as it were, right? We are now not taking consoles as a point of contention with this purchase, so that is no longer a factor in the equation. Oh, and by the way, all this information we're giving you is only solely focused on the console side. We're still evaluating the cloud side. You'll hear more about that later, right? Now, Sony has responded, calling it surprising and irrational. Mr.
Now,
Everborn
before we get
Saga,
into that, yes, surprising and irrational. It is ridiculous that they're saying that, and it's also hilarious in light of how they were just championing the CMA as paragons of regulatory oversight.
I mean,
and now they're
technically, it's like what you do on this show, right? Anybody says some positive Sonic news, and we have to promote it. The minute they give you slander, it's like, get that guy off the stage.
As soon as it doesn't go your way, now these people are rational. That being said, right? Mm-hmm. The language that Sony is using is very specifically designed in case they want to go the appellate route to CAT. You use surprising and irrational when you want to. That's the language you have to use when you're prepping an appeal. So there could be a world where Sony is still crying after the deal goes through, right? After the CMA approves it, if they approve it, and Sony is the one appealing to CAT instead of Microsoft. So Sony may still try to get the deal blocked even after it is consummated.
So what you're saying is kind of like how they were dropping little nuggets of sabotage in there for the purpose of the console parity that we potentially see happening. This is them dropping a bug in the ear to go, see, this is why we think you should reevaluate this, CAT. That's what you're thinking.
Right. So that is, you know, that's the reason for that language specifically. They're still fighting that idea that they want it blocked, or at the very least, they want certain protections which they don't have now. And there are certain folks in the gaming community that it is impossible for them, and I hope they're listening right now, I'm not going to say your name, it is impossible for them to recognize that Sony may have overplayed their hand.
It's conjecture,
it's
sir.
It's impossible.
I say it's conjecture. I'm sorry, I had to do that.
Very interesting.
Title of the
that
show.
Word. It is impossible for them to acknowledge that Sony is not in as a strong position as they were before the EU and the UK have said, we don't care about your claims, right? The entire conversation about this merger has now shifted to cloud, which may or may not be a market. Mm-hmm. Now we've decided that high-end game consoles.
Every time anybody says that, I just get a little bit of agita, just a little bit, because it doesn't exist, people. It does not exist. But I'm sorry, continue. Yes.
So
go ahead.
So again, now there were certain protections Sony could have had via contracts that Microsoft would have been more than willing to sign, and there would be protections in terms of oversight, and they could have full parity. Now, that being said, I do think that Xbox will offer full parity for the most part. But I do think the multi-game subscription service offer, I think that's off the table. Not that Sony wanted it anyway, but I do think Sony will get all the content.
Oh, yeah.
But I think now there are things that Microsoft may do while still giving Sony all the content. These are things that could be included as a Game Pass perk that maybe the Sony players will have to pay for.
Sure.
Things like early access to betas, things like that. So you'll get the content, you'll get your parity, but it may not be what it was before, and there's no one that can really stop it as long as they release the thing on your platform. And that and that is, seemingly gone now. So Sony now has to play whatever card they have, because they spent all this money. They spent these millions of dollars on economists. They've flown all around the world, and everyone who has looked at Sony's claims and has completed their review of Sony's claims has rejected it.
Yep.
Literally everyone. Except for the FTC.
Decision, who hasn't made a decision yet. They're still kind of...
Well, no, because, the EU and the CMA haven't made decisions yet, but they've completed reviewing those things.
That point, yeah.
And they said, Sony, you're full of sugar, honey, iced tea. So,
done,
but
nicely done.
we can look at it. The FTC, the District of California federal judge looked at the counsel theory of harm and said it's bogus. The CADE in Brazil looked at it and said it's bogus. Saudi Arabia looked at it and said it's bogus. Chile looked at it and said it's bogus. Now the JFTC, Sony's home country, looked at it and said it's bogus. So we are 9 for 9 of people who have looked at that theory of harm and said, once they've gotten all the details, they've said this doesn't make sense, right? So now, because they've done all this already, they have no choice but to double down at this point. Because if not, all of this was for naught.
Well,
so now that they're in the end,
definitely have gotten to a place where they have a seat. Well, how big their seat is at the table, you don't know, but they definitely have a seat at the table. There is a world where, had they not been yelling and screaming to the mountaintops up until now, this could have come and gone without them getting their pound of flesh, and that was their fear, I suspect. You don't agree with that? You think that had this gone off with them staying quiet and being mum about it, that they'd still have what they have today, as far as parity and all of that?
Because they don't have. Okay. Here's the thing. They don't have anything right now. There's no contract signed that is past the 2024 expiration. So
they do have the PR speak in the public of Microsoft saying we'll do right by them. That accounts for something.
Yeah, but they didn't get that. Microsoft said that from day one. This is the first thing Phil Spencer said after the deal was announced.
Okay.
That it will stay on PlayStation.
True.
And into the future, past existing contracts. Okay. So if we are saying that Microsoft from day one said COD would stay on PlayStation, and now Microsoft still says COD will stay on PlayStation, and there are no regulators that are putting ink to paper to force them to do it, and they're still saying that, what exactly has Sony gained? Someone is going to have to explain to me, and no one has successfully done this yet, and I would like someone to explain this. What has Sony gained after this year and a half? And we may see, we still have to see what happens, sure. But at this point, everything they've done is just to get Microsoft to where they were from the beginning. Sounds like a waste of money and everyone's time to me. And by the way, you could say, they delayed it. Did they delay it?
No,
because from day one,
Microsoft did that Babe Ruth thing, and they were right
said
on the money.
18 months from day one.
Yes, they were.
So
absolutely.
Again, explain to me how they are in a better position, the same position, or a worse position than they started with.
So while I agree with you, and Pong, I will let you get your take on here. While I agree with you, I kind of feel like because they know who they're dealing with, Sony, right? Sony knows who they're dealing with, whether or not it's written in the contract or not. Like Microsoft has kind of come out and spoken about certain aspects of this that could have been walked back easily had it not been put out in public the way it has. I kind of feel like they've drawn a little blood in that respect, even though, let's be clear, chances are Microsoft
we need to stay there. I'm pushing back on you.
Sure.
Explain to me what exactly Microsoft has locked themselves into.
So,
and I know you're not saying legally, but you're saying for the PR of all of it.
For the PR of all of it,
Explain to me what Sony has gotten
there
that
was
they
a world,
will not get now.
So had the beginning, middle, and an end of all of this been as soon as the deal was announced, Phil Spencer saying, look, we've had a conversation with Sony, Call of Duty will stay on the platform, and that was it, right? Had that been the beginning, middle, and end of it, and then you see it close, there is a world where, the minute I'm opening my mouth and saying it, now it's counteracted.
Now you're thinking about what you're saying.
There was a world, no, hold on, because there was a world where you could say that, they're only going to get Warzone. Why? Because Microsoft just said COD. Right? And that's one thing you must be very careful about. Most people go, they're liars. No, they are C-level executives who have to learn to speak in a certain way because they cannot be found to be lying, but they need to always give themselves openings, right? But since this back and forth has happened a lot, there's been content parity conversations, there's been all this conversations that's almost solidified the substance of the content that they will get, which at the beginning of it, Microsoft was very much on the very high level, no devil in the details talk, right? Had Sony not pushed the envelope and brought it out into the forefront, there is a world where they would have gotten what they have gotten, and it may not have been to what they like. Now, clearly, like the CMA and the EU and all the regulatory bodies have now come on the side of, well, they can't totally keep it off of Sony's platform, but even if they delay it a little bit, we don't care. So I guess they've lost that thread as well. So that's why I was like, well, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they didn't really gain that either.
Let me take it a step further. Before I do, I want to address something that Slow-Mo said in the chat.
Okay.
He said that Sony gained the likelihood that Microsoft won't attempt to acquire another publisher of this magnitude. Again, Microsoft now knows the fight and other acquisitions of publishers in the future. But who else is of the magnitude of Activision?
I mean, 2K,
right? Yeah, but would they? Is that something that I don't? Take-Two or EA, sure.
Aren't you the one that says? Aren't you the one that says they need to bring the CEO of Take-Two in pocket? Like, that's highly
I don't think
unlikely
they need to
now.
buy Take-Two to do that. I think they just need to back up a Brinks truck and tell him to run the show. Strauss Zelnick. I think he would run Xbox amazingly. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, this is it. There would be no appetite at Microsoft to attempt to buy something this big, at least not for a very long time. Sure. And under that circumstance, you do that when the regulatory environment is right. But again, I don't think that ever would even be in the card. And by the way, Take-Two is not in the same league. I know they have GTA Online. They're not in the same league. You're talking about a $20 billion acquisition versus a $70 billion
I mean,
acquisition.
in the zeitgeist of gaming, GTA, and I know you're I know you're a GTA blind spot, but GTA is COD. Like, it is. It stays in the top 10 for years to come, only being trounced back and forth by Minecraft from time to time, which also stays in the top 10. Mr. Pong Soul, this is what we do on this show.
I'm sorry,
you'll get back to it. I'm not letting you. I'm not killing your conversation. I want to get him in on this conversation. Otherwise, we're going to keep going back and forth. Pong, I hear you speak on this quite often because if y'all didn't know, as soon as this show is done, what do? While I'm doing my show notes, I'm watching Live in Splitscreen, and you should be too. What do you think, sir? Where are we? Are we wrong? What do you think?
No. Well, no. I would.
Kesante's wrong, but yeah.
Of course, yeah.
I would say Sony did gain from this, and they also lost in the long run. Okay, there's a couple different ways you can look at this. They did gain Microsoft being in the public, speaking about what they were going to give up in order to get this deal to go through, which to Kei Asante's point would not have happened had Sony not raised such a stink about this. There might still have been that negotiation behind the scenes, behind closed doors with the regulatory bodies as far as concessions go. But at the end of the day, they got a bigger commitment of 10-year deal than they were initially offering to Sony, which we heard when Phil brought it out in the public and then Jim responded, right? So they have gained that. I also agree with Kei Asante that the parity stuff, while I don't think that Microsoft, if they had acquired it and Sony had not said peep about this, would have ever tried to sabotage Call of Duty or make it less than on PlayStation, I do believe the marketing deals, special stuff like early beta access, skins, that kind of stuff would have been offered to Game Pass subscribers for free. And now that's been brought out where Phil has said, nope, it's going to be the same across the board. Everybody's getting the same content no matter what at the end of the day. There's going to be no special benefits to Xbox users that aren't available to PlayStation users. So I think that that was a gain from Sony's standpoint, because I do believe if Sony didn't raise any stink, Microsoft would have taken advantage. I fully expected them to offer us on the Xbox side some of the same benefits, bonuses that the PlayStation marketing deals were granting PlayStation users at the time, gamers. So I think that that stuff is a win for Sony at the end of the day. Now, do I think overall that they did themselves any favors? Do I think that the long term? No. I think that Sony actually has damaged the industry in a lot of ways from being this vocal about it. They opened up, this deal would have gotten reviewed by regulatory bodies no matter what, because it was $70 billion. This was not going to be something that everybody just went, oh, okay, nobody's got a problem with it, we're just signing off on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Sony has exposed this industry. They've opened up Pandora's box to government regulation. They have gone out of their way to make such a big deal about this that I believe that the regulatory bodies definitely became much more interested on a deeper level than they would have even if, or I should say, without Sony saying anything. I think that they would have still investigated. I still think that there would have been an education process that had to happen, because these regulatory bodies obviously had no idea what this industry was about. But I think Sony exposed a lot more at the end of the day by being this vocal. And I think down the road, and I hate big government, I hate it with a passion, and I don't want them involved in a dynamic industry like this. I think they've now opened up doors, and we saw that with, United States Congress people, bringing it up to Japan in trade talks. So I think that long term could be a detriment overall, not just to Sony, but to a lot of people. I think that's why you saw, other people like Take-Two, like Strauss, like Tencent even coming out and going, no, we're cool. We're good with this. Everything's fine. Just let this thing go through, because they know they don't want that spotlight overall on what's going on. And you don't want that involvement at all. So I think that long term, Sony has hurt themselves and has hurt the industry in some ways. Now, we'll see how that plays out. I could be completely wrong. Regulatory bodies could go back to ignoring this industry completely. But I really haven't seen a spot like this. Yeah, I haven't seen a spot like this since, the whole, age requirements came up with Mortal Kombat and all that kind of stuff when we went through the ratings board creation and all that kind of stuff. That was the last time I've seen it like this. Yeah. So, Sony did gain, but I think long term they could have lost. And they also now have allowed or forced Microsoft, which I said from the beginning was going to happen. I think Microsoft was on board with working with the regulatory bodies to set the standard for any acquisitions going forward. And so if Sony now, no, I'm not saying they would be able to go make an acquisition of this size, because we know they don't have the resources per se to do so. But any acquisition that now comes underneath regulatory scrutiny, Microsoft has set the tone. So let's say Sony does find a way to go make a play for a Ubisoft. I'm just going to throw a name out there because on the downswing.
They are bottom barrel every time now, man.
Right.
People got the money for it. Yes.
Right. So let's say they go make a play for that. Well, now Sony has set up the rules, and you don't think Microsoft's not going to come back with the same arguments against Sony this next time if Sony makes a big purchase? Of course they are, and Sony's going to have to be out in public going, "Oh, we'll give you 10-year deals. We'll give you parity. We're going to have, we're going to have
but
third
Sony's
parties."
arguments didn't work, so I don't know that we can
But
they
still
wholesale did not work. So can Microsoft really make failed arguments?
Yes, they can.
Yeah,
because they're going to force Sony into the same spotlight, Everborn. They're going to have to make those public statements so that behind the scenes, Sony can't turn around and say, "Well, nobody said anything."
See, exactly.
Hey, here we go.
I think that's exactly the point right there. It's not just about, and I'll let you speak, and I also want to read the quick super chat. It's not just about the game. It's also about what you can gain piecemeal, little by little by little. Why do you think, even on Microsoft's side, they came out holding contracts in public view? They needed the public on their side, and a lot of that was gained by Sony, because Sony was leading in that narrative.
All right.
But let me quickly get the super chat, and I'll let you speak. Let me get the super chat.
God.
I will let you speak. Sycamore in here with the $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. And this is what we live for, the argument. We live for this argument. He's saying, business-wise, it gains Sony absolutely nothing. No revenue benefits, nothing. Remember, this is a 10-year deal. After that, Microsoft can do with it what they want. Microsoft have time and money to burn. Now, what I agree with you, Sycamore. What I'm saying is, had they not made a stink, they wouldn't have gotten the 10-year deal.
Okay,
right?
But
continue.
Please. There is no 10-year deal. Sony doesn't have a 10-year deal, nor will they get one. Right? There is no console SLC.
Yeah.
Therefore, there is no reason to sign a 10-year deal. Right? So they don't even have that in writing. They have the existing contract, which ends
in 2024.
And I don't know what sort of reality distortion field Sony has going over people that we can frame an absolute failure all around the globe as some sort of a win.
No,
They
hold on.
lost
Question
the
for you.
argument. Let's call a spade a spade.
So are you saying, and I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying Sony gained nothing.
They have not signed the 10-year deal contract. Absolutely. I hear you on that. They're waving the contract around. Sony did not sign it. So are you saying that there's a world where after 2024, all that's gone? Because the contract keeps it there. So are you telling me that even in the public sphere where they're like, we're going to keep it everywhere, and they've said it to the regulators and some regulatory bodies.
That's not what I'm saying.
Some of the regulators.
What I'm saying.
Well, they don't sign. So let me frame the question correctly. They don't sign this 10-year deal, right? The deal goes through. What world does Sony live in then?
The same world they live in with Minecraft, and the same world that Steam or Valve will live in with COD, which is you don't need a contract to say we're going to continue to release this game. From day one, Microsoft said we will treat this game the way we treat Minecraft, which is you will get parity, you will get when we release a new game, you will get it, i.e. Minecraft Legends and Minecraft Dungeons. That's what Microsoft said from day one. That's what Sony will get. That is completely controlled by what Microsoft is allowing them to have.
Sure.
Sony won nothing. And this idea that there's some sort of Svengalis that have coaxed Microsoft into offering something that they didn't plan to offer to begin with. And by the way, we can say, well, they first only offered to extend it 3 years. Mm-hmm. If you are a $2 trillion corporation making a $70 billion acquisition, do you think that in the state of negotiations, you're going to reveal your hand on day one? No, you're not. So 10 years is probably what they wanted to do anyway. So again, that is not controlled by Sony.
We're not disagreeing with that.
Yeah. We're just
had
saying,
Sony not said boo and just signed the 3-year deal, they would have only wound up with a 3-year deal, correct?
Exactly.
But they don't have any deal now. There's no deal.
They're going to. Microsoft's not going to pull that.
No, they're not. They don't have to sign anything.
So you're saying Sony's not going to sign a deal?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And to
they're not
Everborn's
going to sign it, and it will still be on their platform.
To Everborn's
it just
point,
won't
the
be
reason
mandated by a 10-year contract.
The reason why they don't need to sign it is because, unfortunately or fortunately or however you see it, it was literally said by regulatory bodies when they said that the console SLC is no longer a factor in the equation. Right. They literally said, we don't see it in Microsoft's best interest to remove it from them, because if they do, it'll lose them so much money, but partial foreclosure is allowed. So had they not said that, right? Had they said what they said with Bethesda, which is whether they foreclose it or not doesn't matter, then you could see a world where they lose COD because it doesn't matter. But once any of the regulatory bodies has said that we don't see them removing it because it would cost them too much money, then they have to adhere to it. Because the very next time they make any kind of purchase, the question will be, well, isn't that what you were supposed to do? And you didn't do that, right? So on that, I kind of see where he's coming from with that. But continue.
And I want to clarify that, and I think this confusion has come up because of the way that Sony has framed this thing, whereas if there's no contract, then the game won't be on PlayStation or whatever. No,
that's just a marketing contract.
There doesn't need to be a contract for the game to continue to be on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's just a marketing
mandate. Yeah. Right. That's all. That's what the existing Sony contract has with Activision, but with Minecraft and with everything else that Microsoft releases on other platforms, there is no 10-year deal or 2-year deal. It is just, we're publishing this thing, we want to release it on your platform. That's it. And there's a ongoing working agreement where they sort of release it. So I do not expect, contract or no, Microsoft to pull COD from PlayStation, and I think PlayStation will get all the modes and the content. I do think there will be perks to being an Xbox player or a Game Pass member, and that still will allow Sony to have all that content, but they will maybe not get access to certain betas. I don't know what they're going to do, or maybe they get everything and they do it that way. But there's nothing forcing Microsoft to do that. And so Microsoft was willing to offer COD to PlayStation Plus. Let's see if that's still the case, right? Let's see if Microsoft will now say, if you're a Game Pass player, you'll get access to these skins. You'll get, I don't know how COD works. You people know that better than me. But the point is, there are things
you
that they could have
gamers
gotten
know more
that they
about
will
that
not
than I
get
do.
now. And Microsoft from day one has said the same thing. We will treat it like Minecraft, and Sony's capitulation or no, they will still treat it like Minecraft. So Microsoft has not changed their position. Therefore, Sony has gained nothing. I rest my case, Your Honor.
So, okay. See, while I agree with the end result of what he is saying, I will say my only way that I go there with him on that is the fact that even one regulatory body, which is a gatekeeper that you need to go through every time you're purchasing something, one of them has said, the reason we're not seeing this as a console, as a concern in the console space, is we don't see you removing them because it would cost you too much money, right? And whether it costs them too much money and they don't give a crap about it, or it costs them too much money and they do give a crap about it, they have to adhere to that, because the minute you make them liars, or the minute you make them fools for thinking that and taking the remedy away, that's the minute that gets you next time, right? The FTC tried to use that before. You said, you'd put
Is that working
Bethesda
out for the FTC, or will that work for the FTC?
Yes, and they were wrong in that.
We can say this or that, but the CMA is literally saying. So Microsoft has said, we're going to give full parity on everything, and we're going to have an independent reviewer. Does Microsoft still have to have an independent reviewer now because they said that?
Yeah, actually, they don't anymore because the regulatory.
But they said
go
it.
There. Yes.
But Microsoft said it, so they have to do it now.
That's not the case. Come on now. You know it's a different paradigm in that they said that if that's what was necessary in order to make people comfortable, that's
Bingo.
What they would do.
If that's what was necessary, it's not necessary.
Yeah. So are you saying?
And that goes for all this other stuff.
All this other stuff was just, all of it was performative theater to make people comfortable. But since the concern has come and gone without the need of any.
No,
of those
what
things,
I'm saying is
gone?
I do not believe Microsoft will pull COD, or will they not give reasonable parity.
Okay.
But I don't think that that was ever the case anyway, because they were always going to treat it like Minecraft. And Sony has wasted everyone's time. I don't know why it's so hard to acknowledge that.
Well, I'm not
Sony
saying it's
gained
not.
nothing. They have not gained a goddamn thing. I'm sorry, children that are listening.
I mean, if we're underneath the
Please
assumption,
speak on it, Pong. Yes.
no. If we're gonna take Everborn's statement of facts, right, which they are, it goes along with an assumption. It goes along with an assumption, right? It goes along with the assumption that Microsoft never had any other intentions with Call of Duty. And it's a big assumption. Now,
Sure.
I said from the beginning I thought that was the potential, but I also said that I could see a world in which Microsoft leaves Warzone everywhere, but does pull single-player campaign and standard multiplayer.
Kay and I
as
speculated
exclusive.
on the same thing in the early days.
Right. So what I'm saying is that in your world, and it's underneath the assumption, and I would agree with you, if we knew internally that Microsoft never had any plans, never even looked at the potential of doing something down the road with Call of Duty to make some portion of Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, then yes, you're right. Then Sony absolutely was yelling to the high heavens for no reason, right? And gained nothing out of it. I'm not willing to make that assumption all the way. I'm willing to assume that they did look at Call of Duty much like Minecraft as a platform unto itself. However,
and real quick,
plans.
I apologize. I don't mean to cut you, Pong.
No.
Anytime anybody talks about making it like Minecraft, let's get the dirty little secret out of the room. There's a clause in the Minecraft contract. It's not like they're altruistic.
You
they
have
are
no
forced.
proof of that. You have no
come
proof
on.
of that. You have
It
no
has been
proof.
said so
You have
many
no
times.
Articles by who? Where? Provide the proof.
It has been said by Jess Corden. It has been said by Jeff Grubb.
All right,
I can provide you
need
video
documentation.
evidence of them saying so.
I need an article that says as
Sure,
much.
continue, Paul.
No.
Or that is conjecture as
He
the
did
title.
it.
As long as we're not going to talk
said the thing.
macroeconomics, we're okay. Listen.
Give us time.
So no, I'm just not willing to take that leap that they never have thought of it, or that they don't see a point down the road where Call of Duty does transform into something else. Again, in this dynamic industry, I've said all along, I could see Call of Duty going to a games as a service type model with just a entry point, and then they continuously update it. And how valuable is Call of Duty at that point compared to what it is now, which is a yearly release? And we also know that Microsoft has talked about potentially maybe giving Call of Duty time off in between iterations, which would also change the value landscape of Call of Duty from that yearly release. So I just think that there was conversations, in my opinion, that Microsoft was looking down the road, and now that they've gone public the way that they've had because of Sony's outcry, that kind of maybe did alter some plans internally. Not to say that they couldn't do it, not to say that they still couldn't do it, but to Kay Asante's point, once you've gone public with it to the regulatory bodies who can re-review these deals, right? We know that they can re-review,
and you need them because you're going to be buying more stuff.
Right, you're going to be buying more, so you want to have your best face on, no matter what. Even if inside, you've got, you got the hidden dagger, you're putting that away, and you're saying, nope, we're the good guys. We said we were. So when we go make this next big purchase, you can trust us. You can believe us. I think that some of that did get changed by Sony's outcry. But I do understand your point. I do.
Okay,
I do.
so here's the thing, and this is why I think some of this kind of falls flat, at least to my ears. Again, in the beginning, if you look at this through the lens of the sort of console ecosystem, then yes, sure, maybe they had some plans. But as I started paying attention to more of this, as I started talking to people, as I started putting together the tea leaves, when you tie all this together, this deal is about the data and the monthly active users.
Oh, absolutely.
And so making it exclusive is counterintuitive to that. And we talked about this before. Microsoft, another acquisition that they closed in 2022 was Xandr,
Yes,
which
we
is
know
an
this.
over-the-top or they call that OTT or CTV, connected TV ad platform, right? So when you are watching Hulu and an ad pops up, people would buy those ads through a service like
they're using that in Netflix
through
right
a network
now.
like right through Xandr.
Yeah.
So the largest numbers where connected TVs come from, they're not Apple TVs, they're not Fire Sticks, they're consoles, right? Because people watch TV through their consoles, through the Hulu, Disney, now Netflix has ads and all that. Microsoft also has the Netflix advertising deal, right? And so there's a thing that came up recently. There's a regulation. If you notice, you go to every website and they ask you about cookies, right? And they say, and that they didn't used to do that. Cookies were on by default.
Either put
and
up,
they would take your info,
take the minimum
use
standard,
that.
or allow the full ramifications of the cookies to be there. You have to choose all the time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the thing is, those cookies are used to profile you so that they can target ads towards you.
Yep.
Now that those are no longer on by default, and I'm sure we're all aware of the tyranny of the default theory, right? Whatever is the default, that's what most people are going to do.
Hence,
it
i.e.
basically
dominance.
decimated the ad market, who relied on those cookies from website traffic. So now, what
This
is
is the
king
number
in
one
the
reason
advertising
why
world?
Meta is losing a lot of money. That's what did it right there.
The number one, what is king right now in the ad space is first-party data, what they call. This means data that you own, so you're tracking these users and not some pixel in a website. So Google has a ton of first-party data. Facebook has a ton of first-party data because they have social platforms, right? Microsoft has LinkedIn data, but it's not as fresh for people you want to
Only
sell
professionals.
consumer things,
Yeah.
right? It's good for professionals, so it's good for the CRM product, not as good. Now, what they get with Activision is 400 million monthly active users, and add that to the 100 million monthly active users they already have on Xbox, and now you have a large set of first-party data that you can serve ads to. So taking the game away from PlayStation is counterintuitive to some of the synergies that they have with other divisions. And so once I started looking at it more holistically, and I have also talked with people at Microsoft about this, they didn't disagree. And that's all I will say on that. So this is what for them to spend $70 billion, it is more than just about gaming for them. So when they want those monthly active users, putting it on Xbox is counterintuitive. I mean, sorry, singling
Keeping
it out on
Xbox,
Xbox is counterintuitive to the other reasons they need it. So again, from day one, they said what Call of Duty would be. They didn't say Diablo would be offered to people. They didn't say Overwatch. They didn't say any of that. They can do whatever they want with that. Call of Duty brings in the monthly active users, and they want that data, so they will keep it everywhere. I say all that to say this was all a part of Microsoft's plan. They have not moved from where they said they were going to be in day one. The only movement I saw was the offering in PlayStation Plus, and now that's effectively off the table. I think anyway.
Sure.
So again, Sony's gained nothing, and you do not need a contract or a 10-year deal to have a game on a platform and continue to release it.
Yeah,
I don't.
The 10-year deal was
Microsoft will
always a
remove
was always a exclusivity of sorts, meaning all the exclusive skins you get, all the beta access, the preferential treatment, basically, was that 10-year deal. Was the deal they have right now, because even today, Call of Duty is not exclusive to PlayStation, right? It's just they get the exclusive stuff, right? So that's that deal that continued. But Microsoft was trying to flip that and make it a 10-year deal to say, hey, look, it's still going to be there, even though technically the deal they have all the way to 2024 is for preferential treatment, and that's it. Because it still goes everywhere, right? So I do hear you on that. Now, the only place where I won't disagree with you, but and I think I'm more with Pong on that is, had this not been the big enough stink that it is, I could see a world where they're checking the numbers to see what's more advantageous for them. Yes, we bought Xander. Yes, the marketing dollars really matter to us. But what will make a bigger splash? Will making COD in some form exclusive to our platform get Game Pass numbers to spike exponentially to critical mass, or is keeping it multi-plat everywhere and siphoning those marketing dollars the bigger splash? Had this public explosion not been part of that math would have fallen either way. I don't think they, and obviously I have no data to back it up.
Not according to the CMA, but sure.
Sure,
or the EU,
but the CMA and the EU
Brazil,
are
the JFTC, or Saudi Arabia. But please continue.
But remember, the CMA, the EU, all of that, they are literally putting down. They're taking what Microsoft gave them, right? Which in the background, they've been playing 4D chess from day one.
They're
we
not,
agree on
but
that.
okay.
We agree on that. But I'm saying, had this not blown up the way it did, there is a world where you do that math and go, what's the bigger punch, right? Here we are where we are. So definitely the Xander play is the play, right? You now have regulatory bodies speaking on the fact that is why we're making console SLC not a factor in the equation. So if you go back now, you're now double back, and it may screw you later. So Xander is the play. But I guess what I'm saying is, and we will never know because I
think we should move on because we may be going in circles.
Sure.
I'm getting ready to say the same thing I said at the beginning.
Sure.
I'll let you continue.
I'm just saying that I know
you're wrong, but
you can say that. Absolutely. We are where we are with it. How we got here, that is the mushy middle. I will let Mr. Pong Soul get the last word on this, sir. Where do you see us going when all of this comes to a head next week, as it says right here with the agency report?
No, I think it's going to come out in favor of Microsoft. Obviously, they didn't, at the end of the day, they're not going to get through this process with zero concessions like Satya was speaking on when they originally signed the deal and all that.
That'll only happen for Sony.
Right. Yeah. So they're not going to walk through scot-free in this, but ultimately they defeated all the arguments as we expected because there was no real arguments. It was all paper tigers at the end of the day in most of the case. And obviously the cloud stuff, again, I can't even believe the regulatory bodies are even trying to project the cloud and trying to make this an issue at this point because it is so small. It is such a unknown that there is no way you have any type of crystal ball that's going to tell you where cloud's going to go down the road. So the fact that that's where we're at, that they've all turned the corner now, at least the ones that have a problem. We still have China out there, which is doing its own thing, which could be a potential, tripping kind of spot a little bit but they'll overcome that as well. But now that we have...
Hey, Pong.
Yeah.
Just can I add one thing about China that I want everyone to keep in mind?
Yep.
Brad Smith in 2021 said China accounts for only, wait for it, 1.8% of revenue across all products.
Correct.
Activision
they just recently started selling consoles there. It's not a mature market.
Activision has already pulled out the games that they have, or sorry, Blizzard has. And Activision may be soon to follow. I don't know that Microsoft lets China hold up the deal.
It's in the contract that it has to be approved through China with Activision.
Is it?
Blizzard. Yes. China is one of the regulatory bodies that is in the contract.
I thought it was US, UK, and CMA.
Nope, it came out this week that China was included in that as well. So if that is a real thing, then it would have to renegotiate. I don't think the renegotiation would be a problem. It would be a delay, but I don't think it would be a problem because I don't obviously think that enough investors are going to stand up and say, no, we don't want this money at this point. But it would be renegotiated without China, and because like you said, it's such a small territory, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't mean a damn thing now. But I think that now that we got the EC and the CMA to turn the corner to this point with the cloud being basically the only kind of a question that they have, Microsoft easily is going to overcome all of that. They're going to give whatever concessions necessary in the cloud space. They don't care per se. This deal is done. It's all but done at this point. The FTC, we already know about that. That's neither here nor there. That will be worked out in the courts, or Microsoft, one way or the other, it's going to be worked out. I don't think the FTC and LenaCon are going to drop it. I don't think they're going to go that route. I think they'll go full out. Big question is whether or not Microsoft closes over the top of the FTC, which will be the next big kind of movement that we see. So I think this is Microsoft won at the end of the day. They're going to get this deal through like we all expected it to be. And it's going to be big. It's going to be big for all the things that you just brought up about Xander. It's going to be big in their mobile market, which their next big battle is going to happen with Apple and Google. And the mobile market is really what's important. Like everybody said, Call of Duty, the focus on Call of Duty was utterly ridiculous, but I'm sure Xbox and Microsoft were happy that that's where the focus was, because they're taking a whole treasure chest full of diamonds home out of this deal that nobody else is talking about at the end of the day. So
yeah, on that I think we can all agree. Mr. Everborn Saga, any last words before we adjourn?
I'm right.
Oh, here we go.
That's all I got.
Not about Sonic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of your show, sir. We have been going, and I think we're almost around 3 hours and 22 minutes. Yeah, I think that's a sweet spot for us. Usually, now's the time when I tell you to go over to Living Split Screen and continue the conversation. But unfortunately, we don't have that this week. But we are honored to have one half of the dynamic duo with us, Mr. Pong Soul, lending his voice, lending his opinions to the show, making it so much better. Thank you for being here, sir. Tell the people where they can find you. Tell the people where they should be subscribing. Make sure we get you to 1K.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Again, no, I'm the honored one for the invite. Thank you for thinking of me this morning after I put out the tweet that we weren't having Living Split Screen. Always fantastic to talk with yourself, sir, and of course, Everborn. Don't get to do it as much as I'd like to anymore because obviously real life back to normal again in a lot of ways. So I'm not as many shows as I used to be, but just a pleasure to be here. Chat, thank you all for showing up. A lot of familiar faces. A lot of you tab us on Saturday morning with our brothers here as well when Steele and I are going over on Living Split Screen. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being here and supporting all the shows that you do, not just us, but everybody. So thank you for that. Of course, you know the drill. Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. You can find me. I'm not on Xbox Factor anymore because I can't be. Like, I try to pop in there once in a while, but it's really, really hard these days. But listen, I'm still officially part of the panel. And Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, one of the best places to be. One of the best dudes in this community, 5 days a week. But Xbox Factor is, I'm biased. So 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, every Tuesday, all good things green. Thursday nights, it's PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM over on Fun Speculations channel. Fun Speculation Network has been blown up a lot over the past year and a half, and we are getting a great community over there. Thursday nights, it's a two-man show unless we have a guest, a lot like this, a lot like Living Split Screen. But Mav and I catch up for the week. We have a great time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Fun Speculation is the channel. Be there for PM in the PM. Friday nights, it's Xbox Ultimate, back on Fun Speculation channel. That's 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Last night was in... Listen, Mav can't even monetize most of the Xbox Ultimate shows because we go every which way, but we still talk gaming there a lot, but we have a lot of laughs. So you got to go check that show out. Every Friday night, we have a great time there. And then Saturday mornings, normally, you will find me over on the sister channel, Living Split Screen, from this one right here, where my brother from another Steel Rain and I do this exact same thing. We go 3+ hours. Normally it's 4 now, and that's why Kay Asante and Everborn are nice enough to send people our way. But we are on mission 1K. We're approaching 800. So please, if you haven't checked me and Steel out, please go do so. Living Split Screen. Split Screen's all one word. Every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Again, it's the golden age of gaming, people. Please get out there and enjoy it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Play what you love. Love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you real soon. In fact, tonight on the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel with Fuzzy Belvedere, PTK, and we got Lord Attic from the Iron Lords on tonight. So be there, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Thank you again for the invite, both Kay Asante and Everborn. Appreciate you, brothers, so much. And we'll talk to you all real soon.
And you know what? To Everborn's point, there's 116 people in the chat right now. I am now putting the link to Living Split
Thank you.
Screen in that chat.
Exactly what I was
Please
saying.
click that button.
If you're not subscribed to that channel,
Ooh, you're low
check
all of a
them
sudden.
out,
You're low.
subscribe.
Everborn, you're a little low.
What's happening? What's happening?
I think the universe lowered you because your takes were just too hot. I'm sorry, you're just too hot. You're super low right now. Still a little lower than normal. I'm bringing you on internally here. Go ahead, say something.
Okay. All right. What about now?
Still very low. Oh well, we're at the end of it anyway.
I don't know.
Perfect timing.
It just happened. Yeah, your takes were too hot. It blew out your mic,
Any
sir.
better?
Nope, still low. I hear you, just quite low. Yeah, people are saying it's Sony's fault. Sony mic.
Of course, I'm being silent.
Yes, but you know what? I will make your outro for you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not checked out the EverbornSaga, I suggest you do so quickly because the EverbornSaga is coming out with the next book coming out very, very soon. So they are now. Hold on, let me do that. They are now still having a very, very good sale to get you caught up on all things. Ooh, and of course, I did that absolutely wrong.
How about now?
Oh, there you are. There you are. Yes,
Okay.
yes. I was just telling the folks about the sale to get them up to speed because the Redlands is coming, ladies and gentlemen. The Redlands is coming, and you want to be up to date on the story so that you are aware.
Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 is coming.
Oh yeah.
And Prince of Arcadia Chapter 5 is coming, which is actually a Chapter 0 because it takes place before the battle at Wildwood Gate. And then we have the Remnant coming as well. And after that is Redlands 2.
Oh,
Just
man.
for people that wanted to know the order.
Apologies. Yes. And of course, not to be outdone, we have Slow-Mo Backslap here saying Everborn's mic is lower than the Sonic Frontier sales. Ooh.
I guess it's at above 3 million. So,
Stop it. But yes, and I'll make sure I put all the show notes in the show notes. I'll make sure I put Pong Soul's information. I really want you guys to go out there and check it out. Always a great show, always lively, and shout out to the man Steel Rain. At some point, we'll make it work out. We'll do this. We'll do this crossover because I really want to. It's always fun to have you guys with us and talking games with us. We really appreciate y'all being here. But for myself, Mr. EverbornSaga, and the great guest, Mr. Pong Soul, it has been a great conversation. Around 3 hours and 30 minutes for you. Get out there, get some gaming done. I might be online this week. My kids and my family are a little under the weather, so we're gonna go see the Super Mario movie in the drive-in to keep our cooties to ourselves.
Trying to get there myself.
Yeah, we're gonna do that this weekend. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show, and you'll catch us next time. Peace.